Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming out of SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 99. Hello out there, I am your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill, and joining me tonight is Jordan Frost.
I'm comfortable to make it better for Phil if he wants to refer to me as Geordie F. Doing a lot of episodes with Jimmy Mack, and I just want the transition to be okay for you.
Thanks.
Is this more about you wanting a funky fresh nickname?
No, but I did figure out that I could have been called at school J-Fro, like J-Lo, if I wanted to, but didn't come up with it in time. Yeah.
I think it's a realization that's come too late for justice.
Yeah, that's a little too early 2000s for that
Yeah.
now. But
Well,
if you want it, we can look into it.
Well, you used to have a little, but now you have a lot, but you're still Geordie from the block.
That's right.
And also joining us is Phil Calloway.
I am also from a block, but now I have a little... Wait, no, how's it go? Damn it.
How you doing, man?
Good. Sorry, I was going to come up with something witty, but then
Yeah.
Geordie F fucked me.
I was too busy being fooled by the rocks that you got.
Yeah, stop. Geordie F immediately makes me think of the New Kids on the Block. So
That's fine. I'm
congratulate
cool
me
with that.
You can be the tall one that's not very good at dancing.
That's just like me.
And here as always, except when he's not, BT Calloway.
I used to have a lot. No, I've only got rocks.
They're good rocks.
I mean, they're okay.
No, you put them in a tumbler, they turn into gems.
And one would think that this is some sort of geology and or Jennifer Lopez podcast, but no, this is the Simpsons Index. This is the podcast where we watch and review 3 episodes of The Simpsons at a time, but there's a twist. Each episode must come from a different decade.
Genology.
Get out.
In 99 episodes of doing the podcast, I can't believe J-Lo still hasn't come up before
I
tonight.
know.
Surely we've done a Cartman's J-Lo hand gag before.
But that's Jennifer Lopez, not to be confused. with
I
Jennifer
always
Lopez.
get the J's and the H's confused. That's why I love a jalapeno.
And we just watched an episode, of course, from the JD era. I mean, I do that all the time too.
Nice tie-in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Smoothest segues in all of anyway. We just watched an episode of Season 21, Episode 8, Oh Brother, Where Bart Thou? First released in December of '09. It was directed by Stephen Dean Moore, written by Matt Selman. In this episode, Bart has a desire to get a little brother, and he adopts one from an orphanage for a day or something. Yeah, that about sums it up. Guys, what'd you think?
Yep. I wrote down, and I stand by it.
Yeah, it was fucking awful.
Fucking awful.
Yes, correct.
I don't know if I put in fucking order.
Yeah.
Even if I just gauge my entire watching with my eyes closed just by Geordie F's size, it was rating at about 2 sighs a minute for a moment.
It's pretty high.
There were some jokes in there that were like, you went there. Well
Yeah,
done.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you tell us about some of those, Jordan? For better or worse, what is a moment from this episode that stands out to you?
The thing that made me put my brain into a bit of a freeze, because I was kind of going, why? Was the South Park bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Millhouse Bart,
Ralph
and Nelson are all dressed like the
Which-
South Park kids, which kind of makes sense.
I actually think I really liked the character choice here, with Milhouse and Bart being Kyle and Stan respectively,
Yep.
Nelson as Cartman, and then Ralph as Kenny. I
Yeah.
liked that casting.
Could have worked as a visual gag, but they just milked it too much because then you can't understand what Ralph is saying. So, and
Yep.
then Otto hits him with a bus, and it's like,
the fact that they actually had Otto say, "Oh my god, I killed Kenny."
yeah. And the fact it's all from that straight-on flat perspective as well.
Yeah.
Like they started there
Yeah.
and then moved to some camera angles, but it looked really boring after a while.
But yeah, then canonically, they've just
Killed Ralph.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Otto going, "Oh, I killed Kenny yesterday. What's Ralph?"
What did I do? Yeah. Although I did like they did have the Simsified version of the South Park like segue music, like the 3 chords.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just really out of place, and I don't know why they chose to do it.
No, I completely agree, and it was a weird diversion, especially because they just had that Brothers Extended Fantasy sequence, which, just because we're here, I'm going to say it's the moment from the episode that stood out to me, because this was a mixed bag of strong
Yeah.
and weak material for me.
It definitely, when it went to the Smothers Brothers, it went way too fucking long.
Yeah.
Like, everything else was okay, but stretching it by that point, but that was definitely getting nail in the coffin.
I think that was because maybe they were like, see, this is their style of comedy, and that's why we need to
Would
Give
Bart
it
know that?
a
Would
bit
an
of time.
audience know
No.
that?
I don't know that. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know who the fuck the Smothers Brothers are.
Yeah, look, I think they're going to be a lot more popular for Americans, but no, they didn't really hit our shores at all. But yeah, what you see is what you get. This is their style of comedy, what they put in the episode. This whole song's broken up with these long, drawn-out...
Comedy bits.
Just
Yeah.
like that, exactly.
Yeah.
I can see why they're no longer employed.
Well, they chose their retirement, which, yeah.
Yeah, I know all about because of the credits.
But some of the jokes were like, there were probably 3 of the sequences, like the Wright brothers
Yeah.
and
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers and
yeah,
stuff that made sense for Bart, I think, worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there was just some stuff like, this has gone on long enough.
like all the Manning brothers,
The Manning
stuff,
Brothers
Yeah.
are good.
and then the
So, as our football experts in this episode,
they're 2 like of the most famous quarterbacks for 2 respective teams
Yeah,
in the
they
last
both won Super Bowls.
15-20 years.
oh, wow.
Just he's got such a derp face.
Yeah. Like Eli lucked his way into all his rings. Like,
Oh.
I swear to God. Anyway,
Keep away from Cooper. Yeah, no, that was really cute.
Yeah.
But I think you bring up a good point of what would actually Bart visualize, because the Smothers Brothers isn't that. And, you know, it was actually a big honor for the Simpsons staff to get these guys on the episode because they all grew up watching their comedy. But I got to say, you know, last time you were here, Jordan, we covered the Burns Baby Burns with Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
And that was an example of, tying in a completely different style of comedy into the Simpsons universe and it working.
yeah.
This, like, the Smothers Brothers might be great, but this wasn't, it didn't tie in well.
Yeah.
It would have done okay if they'd cut it in half. It was just too long.
Yeah, and the fact that we go back to it in the ending
Yeah.
credits with Naked Bacon, it was
Yeah.
a drag.
Yeah.
The longest credits I think I've ever seen.
yeah.
It just kept going.
Both a slog and a drag.
Yeah. How about you, Phil? What's a moment from this episode that stands out to you for better or worse?
Oh, I mean, I hated a lot of it. The 2 bits that made me sigh the most was actually one made me laugh because I heard Jordan sigh when Bart goes, "Oh, good grief!" And
Yeah,
I
that-
just heard Jordan go,
Because it was right after he runs outside and the door joke that was like 3 times, and then
sorry.
Yeah.
he's got like the
Yeah.
Charlie Brown hat on and everything,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, it was pretty terrible.
I kind of liked how the wind blew the math book onto his lap.
onto his
though.
lap. Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be right if we hadn't gone through the same joke twice already. Like, it was
Yeah.
kind of like when it happened the first time, I'm like, okay. And
Yeah.
then again, I'm like bored of this now. And then
Well,
just putting a small wrinkle at the end of it wasn't enough for me. In fact, I say my notes here are the entire first act is a waste of time.
yeah,
Largely.
yeah.
I'd essentially agree with that.
The
So that's
snow
what-
day thing isn't really pivotal to the plot. It could have been
No.
a weekend.
No, it just sort of like explained why the Simpsons have this aesthetic this week.
Yeah. It was just, all you needed was a blackout where
Yeah.
Bart's forced to ignore all his usual things he would do.
Yeah.
And I guess that maybe they did need a reason he was inside and just go outside. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
even then.
Yeah.
It,
But like the reason he couldn't go outside was because the wind blew him back.
yeah.
Like, what about the other side of the house?
Mhm.
Yeah,
He'd be able to get out the door easier with the wind assist.
yeah, wind assist. Yeah, get a parachute. Dum, done.
How about you, BT? What's a moment from this episode that stands out to you for better or worse?
I'm going to bring up 2 because the first one's pretty small. Is that Homer just has Ned's mug and just throws it on the ground, doesn't bring any attention to it. He just has it.
Yep. Which was in a bit that was cringy because he was doing like, "Oh, I'm the queen of everything. I
Yeah.
know everything." La di da di da.
yeah.
definitely overcooked, but at least there was a quick visual reference that they didn't grind to a halt to
Yeah.
explain why do you have Ned's mug, Dad? Oh, what? Blah, blah, blah. None of that shit. They just had it. It was gone. It was broken. Done.
Mm-hmm.
And then the downside I'm going to show is in an episode with a bunch of weird references, we have like a long Sex in the City reference as well,
That was
with like
yeah.
with a fantasy sequence of Bart imagining having 3 sisters, and it's like,
But yeah, for a 10-year-old, he came up with a pretty risque pun for Virgin Airlines.
yeah.
yeah.
I just think there was somewhere else to have taken that would have felt more Bart, and I don't know why we went to a reference to another TV show.
Yeah, I was about to say, making it that his younger sister that doesn't exist
Yeah.
is like a total Samantha.
And way to pick that as well,
Yeah.
because that was
That was Kim Cattrall.
the guest voice star Kim
Yeah.
Cattrall.
Geordie F strikes again.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of guest stars in this episode. I'm just picking them out as
Yeah,
we
that's fair
get
enough.
them. That was also all the Manning brothers as well.
Oh, really?
And the
Mhm.
Smothers brothers and Kim Cattrall.
Wow.
Did
Was
they
it the
actually-
right? Was it Orville Wright?
Oh, I was about to.
Sorry.
Which I'll point out was one of my favorite sketches in the episode.
Okay, yep.
Come on, I want to go.
You got
Yeah.
the bicycle.
No, it's not the
Not the
same.
same.
But in saying that, like how Bart would imagine the Smothers Brothers, I don't think he would have imagined the Wright brothers either.
No, but at least I can imagine that coming up in like something he vaguely heard about in
Yeah.
school.
What
and-
about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah,
They were
would've
all
been fun.
That's true.
Yep.
But yeah, I was going to say it before because, yeah, he imagined the Marx Brothers where you're like, yeah, maybe, but probably not.
Mm.
And then the Blues Brothers, well, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, just on the Sex and the City thing, yeah, it comes back to, again, Bart is having a fantasy about something he wouldn't fantasize about. Sex and the City, as if he's ever watched an episode.
Yeah.
Maybe he had heard about it and was like, it's about women just talking and stuff, and I'm not into that.
Yeah, but I would think that
guess.
if Bart had 3 sisters, the thing that he would think about would be horrible, would be the way that the episode ended, where they were all like,
Yeah, I was
I'm a
about to say,
princess, I want to paint my nails, I want to do your hair. And rather than, I'll carry all your shopping for you while you proudly walk around and talk about the dick that you got.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
So, play count. How many times before tonight have you seen this episode?
Just this once.
Just this once, thank God.
Just this once. Sorry, I thought we were doing like a 3-part harmony.
What are you gonna
You gotta cue us and at least
Yeah.
hold it long enough. For us to
Well,
catch up.
you guys didn't hold it long enough, so...
you were the third part in the unspoken 3-part harmony.
Exactly.
Yeah, look, I've actually seen this episode a bunch. It's actually an episode that I do like for its heart, and we'll just jump to that question. Yeah, what did you guys think of the heart of this episode?
Well-intentioned, poorly executed.
Hey, that's really good.
I would
Thank you,
say
buddy.
poorly executed, vaguely stabbed at, forgotten but for most of the show.
Well, I mean, I genuinely feel for Bart, and I like his desperation. I don't like all of his moves.
Yeah,
No.
but it's like, what was the moral at the end of this story?
Yeah.
What did Bart or
Go
or
see
we-
horror movies with your father.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What did we learn?
The thing was, Lisa kind of comes in and goes, no matter what, you'll still be my, big
Yeah,
brother.
But
Then they didn't do anything to
Yeah.
solidify that afterwards.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
it wasn't like he really learned anything at the end. He was just like, well, that was a wacky madcap adventure.
Yeah, and really he got distracted because Homer said to him, let's go and watch
Yeah.
7-5 or whatever it's called.
I suppose he made a conscious decision to be like, hey, I want to go visit Charlie again at the orphanage. It was just that he'd gone by
Yeah, it
that
didn't
time.
pay off because he'd already left.
Yeah.
And then we saw Bart's version of what I imagine tormenting 5 sisters would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, was a really shitty way for the episode to end, I feel. Like, it just felt like a bit, girls are crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Also because, like some of them were older and some of them were younger.
Yeah, but
and
they were all the same.
They were
Yeah.
all exactly like a weird Children of the Corn.
Hyperactive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the drama of this episode was so rushed as well, like Bart and Charlie getting caved in by the snowplow or whatever.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a bigger thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really, because I hadn't paid attention to how much time had elapsed, I kind of thought that was then going to be, and they would go missing and they would kind of like have a
Yeah.
great time and maybe
Yeah.
have like a stovepipe inside a Donald Duck lifestyle where they have like a cartoon life and they sweep the floors and he's going to work in the salt mines or something.
Yeah. Or even there's a bit where Charlie fakes out to Wiggum saying,
Yeah.
oh, you have to take me home. This boy's taking me to scary movies, and dipped his sister's Barbie doll in seeds and peanut butter. And I thought, okay, it's going to be a bit where Bart learns just because you have a sibling doesn't mean they're going to want to do everything you want to do or
Yeah.
are going to be an extension of you the way you imagined. And maybe there was going to be a lesson there. But then that flipped around and we find out Charlie's a bit of a douche.
Yeah.
Just maces Wickham.
Yeah, twice.
And I
Yeah.
thought that was going to be part of the thing where Bart realized, oh, shit, this kid's got...
Like severe
Yeah, too
issues.
right.
That's where I thought it was going. That it was like going to
Yeah.
be a kind of Jessica Lovejoy thing. Like, hey,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
fun. Oh no, this is going too far now. I don't want to do this
Yeah,
anymore.
so there were
And
3 potential better places to take it that
Yeah.
they didn't.
you're in it now, Bart. You've got to follow through.
Yeah.
Instead, it ends with pissing out of a snow.
I
pond.
liked this escape, though. Like, that Bart recalled the advice that his pop gave him before, just point and shoot. It's advice that all guys need.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was an okay callback, but it was not advice that Bart hadn't figured out already. Like
Yeah.
he's been peeing for the last 15 years.
Yeah, and I guess it's
I
not
presume.
really. I kind of like the joke of, well, I'd stay out of telling her like how her body works because I have no idea.
Yeah.
And like, well, why don't you never tell me how my body works? But it's like that's the question is more about how does sex work? Why is my body changing? All that kind of stuff.
I don't know. I feel like all you need to know is classified under point and shoot.
Oh,
Really?
oh.
I feel sorry for all of your girlfriends.
So the intent was definitely there because, I loved that scene with Wiggum and the kid being traumatized from the movie because it really sold that Bart wasn't quite ready for this. And fucking, I love to death that act break of there's no boogeyman and then Wiggum pops out a boogie, boogie, boogie.
that was literally the only time I laughed in the entire show.
Yeah.
That was hysterical.
How about some of the wacky moments of this episode? What cartoony elements
gotta-
stood out to you guys?
gotta- Here.
Yeah, we got that bit where it's like, but I have everything a big brother should have, and a garage stacked with fireworks. We cut back to Homer who's smoking a pipe. He's like, oh no.
Who says,
Mm.
uh-oh? And also because it's like illegal fireworks hidden in the garage, but you can see the garage door and they're just like piles haphazardly everywhere. Like,
And
where
they
are they
all-
supposed to park the car?
And they all say fireworks on them.
Yeah.
Like, even if you didn't know what they were and could read, you'd be like, oh, there's a lot of fireworks here.
Also, he lights the match and like that lights up the room to be the thing, but the garage door is open and it's daylight, so why can't he see?
And this is annoying because it feels like it's a retread of that joke from when Skinner gets fired and he's out on the army ranch and Bart's like,
the quickie mark.
Yes.
yeah,
that's
the
what I
quickie
thought.
mart
Yeah, I thought it
explodes. Because, yeah, it's the basic same thing. Homer
Mm-hmm.
lights the thing, and then in the background you see the mushroom cloud happen.
Mm.
And, yeah, this episode also retread where Bart was replacing Marge's birth control pills with Tic Tacs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something
Has that been
he-
happened? Has that happened before?
It's alleged he did it to Kerbobble.
But, yes, it was spoken and not
Oh, yeah.
done.
It was the
Right,
list
right.
of things. Is that the one where they swap parents? Like about
Yeah,
who gets
yeah.
who's the parent teacher night? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the itchy and scratchy
Yep.
movie. So this leads to another wacky moment that I just despised throughout this episode, which was Nelson getting all emotional and stuff
Yeah.
because he's
Yeah.
taking the birth control pills.
And also, like, it was dumb because it wasn't funny, and they called back to it 3 times. But
Yeah.
each time they called back to it, he then had to take a pill out of the
To remind you.
the tactic packet.
Yeah.
Yeah, to remind you that that's what the joke they were making were. I'm like, if your joke is that confusing or unmemorable, don't make it.
Yeah.
The first one, when he's like, "You deserve a brother," I was like,
Yeah.
"Why is he being like that?" And then,
Yeah.
him taking to it, I was like, "Okay, I get it now." But
That
then
was
every
enough,
time
yeah.
after that,
Yeah.
no. Also because I don't know, it seems like they were just going for like, what are female stereotypes that we can just pull?
Emotions and
Yeah.
crying a lot. And
Having body issues and
Oh, my arms are hams. Oh, leave. That's all you ever do. Like,
yeah.
is there a fucking female writer on this stuff?
No.
Like,
I don't think there was on this one. And I think all the other writers were 18.
yeah.
yeah, that's what it feels like.
Any other wacky moments?
Yeah, Bart is like superhuman because there's after he cooks the chef meal. I was like, what do you call it? A meal. After
Yeah.
he calls the
The
romantic meal,
The
Yep.
shipping.
The 5-course romantic dinner, yeah.
and they're too full to fuck.
Yep.
And he's like, "Arr," and he snaps the wooden spoon in half. Then the next one where he's like, I can't remember what he tried.
Then he switches in a tantric sex
oh yeah, that's
DVD,
right. And that doesn't work because they're in traction and whatever.
Which is in which
Yeah.
if they've done that during Congress of the Crow, they fucked that up pretty badly.
And he snaps.
You're not meant to grab the neck.
It's true, yeah. Pull your neck closer. He snaps a metal spoon in half and throws it on the table. And I'm like, holy fuck, how
Yeah.
frustrated
We-
is this boy?
We've theorized this before. There's an episode where he gets a kickball and fills it with water and freezes it,
Oh,
and like
yeah.
throws it hard enough to go through a window. And it's like,
Yeah.
how strong is he?
Yeah.
Holy crap!
He's the son of a god. He's like Hercules.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tying into the Homer as
might
a
be.
unknowing god theory.
definitely. So I love this 5-course romantic dinner scene as well. The dessert and the whatever creme brulee for 2 and 1 for Marge.
Yeah, that was quite
Yeah.
good. But I was like, it broke reality of The Simpsons that Bart cooked a 5-course meal
Yeah.
as a surprise for Marge and Homer.
Yeah.
Bart can't cook. He's 5. He has no money, but he bought gingerbreaded like snapper or
Paragon something salmon.
something. I don't know what it was,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
was something that I don't even eat.
He got a souffle to rise.
And then he said to his mum, "Oh, we'll make you a romantic dinner. Why don't you put on this really revealing dress?" It was like,
Yeah.
yeah, what was the mechanics?
And
of
also-
that?
Well, I guess maybe he just said, "I'm going to make you a romantic dinner," and she took that.
Took
took
it
it
yeah,
from
but
there.
I think like in the history of Bart being Bart, and he went, "I'm going to cook you a romantic dinner," I'd be highly suspicious.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, would have really been funnier if he went to make them dinner but made them like gummy worm pasta.
Yeah.
And then they were sick from that and couldn't.
Yeah,
Like
it's
TV
just
dinner.
like
Yeah.
warmed up Play-Doh or something.
The thing I didn't like was like Bart's cooked us a 5-course romantic dinner, and the joke of Homer going, "Oh, you had me at 5-course, you lost me at romantic, and you had me back at dinner." And it's like,
Yeah.
he loves romantic shit. What the hell is wrong with?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Homer is a big romantic. Like,
Yeah,
That butt that won't quit and fur from his
$5.
Well, yeah, I'd consider that an integrity break. Good thing we're about to ask, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
It felt like a guest writer came onto The Simpsons.
It feels like they gave it to a community college as their final year project, and then nobody read it and just went straight to voicing wherever cartoons go.
Heaven.
no, this one has gone straight to hell.
Yeah, it's
Oh, it's not that bad.
it's in the toilet.
Oh no, I mean the show as a whole.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. As a whole. Yeah, look, character integrity wise, I don't think everyone's totally justified in their actions, but I don't feel like there's any massive breaks here.
No, it all seems
Mm.
reasonably above board. Everyone was just a 4 out of 10 that they usually are of themselves.
Yeah.
Like no one was really aggressively on board or like true to themselves all the time, but there was no enormous departures.
Yeah, and I feel like the thing that this show did get right is the emotional core, though.
Yeah, they just, like Beach said before, they didn't really execute it
Yeah,
very
I
well.
would say the conclusion didn't quite land.
Yeah.
There wasn't really kind of anything to take away from it and be like, oh, Bart learned something today. Especially since he was Kyle. Yeah, he was Kyle, wasn't he?
He would have learned something today, yeah.
That would have been a much better finishing point.
You know, I've really learned something today, yeah. But yes or no, would you watch this one again?
No.
No.
Oh, I might.
Hey,
You've already
look,
seen it 14 times.
this is a non-judgmental place.
Yeah, you
if
watch
you
what
want to
you want,
see
Elliot.
it,
That's
don't
your
waste
own
your
thing.
time.
Yeah,
That's your
I might
fault.
watch it again. I might put it into the brother playlist or something.
The trying to get people to fuck playlist.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing that I really fucking hated was when he borrows the Kama Sutra DVD from Milhouse's parents.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
And then the cuts to Marge on the bed. He's like, oh, Homer, look what the Snuggle Fairy left us. Immediately, I'm like, 2 points.
Yep.
What the are these adults who believe in the fucking Snuggle Fairy? And 2, why would you never question why a DVD appeared under your pillow?
Yeah, it's true. I thought that was going to lead in with those old, so I see what you left in the DVD cabinet. Homer would be like, I didn't, but then gets it. It's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Something. But
Yeah.
just be like, ooh, look, the Snuggle Fairy. What the
I think
fuck?
it's creepy that Milhouse knows what DVD his parents watch before they fuck.
And the one to conceive him as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I do like Bart's comment of, so it kind of works.
Yeah.
If it's anything, it's going to be the erotic adventures of Hercules.
Yeah.
The Cyclops tore off my clothes. BT, what would you change about this episode?
The fact that the heart doesn't quite resolve. Have Charlie either actually go to Wiggum, try to get away from Bart, or like we were saying, do the Jessica Lovejoy thing of being a little too extreme because he's been locked up in this orphanage for so long,
Yeah.
and then have Lisa have a whole bit about, you've still the
Your
older
younger
brother to other
siblings.
people,
Yeah.
everyone else, there's always friends, and then he has like Milhouse around, he's like, hey, here's someone who loves everything you love, and friends can be your family, and then there's
Yeah.
a rainbow, and everyone goes, nah, or something like that. Just tie it together better. It just floats around too much towards its ending and doesn't land anywhere.
Well, no, I like that idea, especially if Lisa could go, look, I'm sorry that I didn't make you feel included, but, we have a relationship that me and Maggie don't have, or you and Maggie won't have, and then you and Maggie have a relationship that we won't have, If there was a bit more of that, maybe?
Especially because there was a bit where he's showing Charlie to Maggie, and he's like, babies, they're good for nothing. And then they have, Maggie blows him a kiss and waves, and he's like, see, stupid babies. And then she waves and kind of like does the hands in the head gazing at him like she's in love with him. And so there's the inference that you could have a great relationship with Maggie as well,
Yeah.
but you wanted a brother. But then that never came up ever again or before.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that was.
That scene with her and Lisa doing the fashion show, that was pretty cute.
That was
It's
cute enough,
very,
yeah.
cute. And like, get this on in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Squeeze in that
And
punch.
lose the attitude.
Yeah. I did like the bit from that. She says, rope courtesy of Twizzler and vest courtesy of Nelson. I'm like, ooh, are Lisa and Nelson still like...
Kising.
Yes.
Quickly, check up in the tree. How about you, Phil? What would you like to change about this episode?
I would like to change the entire first act,
Yep.
all of the writing staff, most of the character arc, and the ending.
Wow.
It's just Bart in a T-pose in negative space for 20 minutes.
And he's just like,
I want brother.
Simpsons, you be what you want to be. I am Simpsons. Yeah. No, so the whole first act was a complete waste of time. Like, we spent 5 minutes watching a show on how to make candy, and then they go to the horse slaughtering factory to make gelatin, and then they swap to the Emmys, and they go back to the horse slaughtering, and that goes back and forth for way too long. Then there's the whole
School closings bit.
snow day and saying Springfield Elemental Table Periodic Study Group.
I did like Springfield El Excelente Spanish School.
Yeah.
That was all right.
Elementary school scuba diving class.
But it could have literally started this entire episode on Bart wakes up, turns the lights on, nothing works. What's
Yeah.
going on? Power's out, school's off. Maggie and Lisa are playing by themselves. That kicks off the whole episode. You could lose, without exaggeration, the first 8 minutes of this episode could go to God, and it wouldn't do anything else apart from make it shorter, which would be better.
And mildly disappoint God.
Yeah, well, fuck that guy.
I don't think I'm quite as down on the first act as you are, but I admit it is such a mixed bag. Like, and especially when you've already got the Smothers Brothers routine, like Chalmers and Skinner were essentially doing that again with the whole fucking
it was
elbow macaroni thing.
Entirely padding.
Yeah.
Also, Skinner's one was dumb because, like, at least Chalmers' ones were all schools, and he
Yeah.
set an elbow past a factory.
Which, again, is the point that it's so lame, but then they
Yep.
take half a minute to point it
Yeah.
out. And
It was just, I
drags.
just found a lot of gags that were almost funny, but then added nothing. Like, they were not there for the story whatsoever. They had no bearing on literally anything.
Well, I liked the Emmys one as well.
I do like when there was a 3-point tie and then
Like
95% of the audience get
walks up on stage. Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
But also the category was like creative lighting and design in a comedy, drama,
Drama,
or
yeah.
arts or
no,
something.
it was a reality-based multi-camera switch drama, which is every single reality TV
Yeah.
show ever almost.
But yeah, so I enjoyed that. But yeah, the whole Huell Hauser thing was just wash.
Here's another weird playlist.
Yeah.
Characters not played by themselves that have had a parallel import and the real thing. Because
Yeah.
they've had Hal Heuser as well.
Yeah.
That's
in
right.
the gay marriage one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were on that episode
Yeah.
as well.
And I was like going, oh, let's talk about avocados some more. Anyway.
That dog ate the whole avocado? That's amazing.
And he actually did say amazing. It wasn't him though, was it this time?
No, that was Huell
That
Hauser
was
as
him
well.
this time. Okay.
But it was weird when he said that's amazing. His character, it wasn't animated.
No.
It just like opened up his mouth and held it there.
It was like
very
one of those ones
fucking weird.
where they green screen you into the foreground and
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah, and it's a real shame. So they get the actual Huell Hauser and they don't actually give him any jokes. Like, Jordan,
what would I
you-
change?
Yeah, what would you change?
Yeah, like I wanted a better resolution for Charlie. Like I want something where it's more about like you were kind of saying,
Yeah.
Beach, when you're saying like you can't pick your family, but you can pick your friends, and you know you can build your life around people that you love and that kind of thing. The resolution for Charlie was kind of weird, and there were no repercussions for him
Yeah.
kind of just taking him out.
Well, he didn't have a character arc either, really.
No, and yeah, even the character model for Charlie, he looked like the classic
Yeah,
like
yeah, I know
Dickensian
what you mean, yeah.
orphan.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely a Charlie Bucket type.
yeah.
And by the way, do you guys know who played Charlie in this episode? Did the voice
Emilio
star?
Estevez.
Queen Elizabeth II.
That kid from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Ah, all wrong, I'm afraid.
Childish Gambino.
He's done everything else.
Bob Hawke, former Prime Minister.
Current Prime Minister, damn it.
That joke will not age by next week.
The current Australian Prime Minister.
Yeah,
Insert
the
that later.
Miami
No,
Dolphins.
It only makes I was about to say Scott Morris.
The Atlanta Falcons. So the kid playing Charlie in this episode is actually, to date as well, the youngest ever guest star on The Simpsons.
Oh, wow.
And it was Jordan Nagai, who played Russell in Up.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Yeah, he was 9 when he recorded this. He's 18 now. And yeah, it was just after Up had come out. Yeah, I thought he did a very good job, though.
Yeah.
What would I change about the episode,
Hey,
though?
Elliot, what would you change about this episode?
Oh my god, so many things. Look, I actually think this one's most of the way there. I agree. Tighten up some of the screws in the uneven first act and give more heart and character to Charlie. The emotional core and Bart's desire to have like a little bit more from a sibling is there, and I think, yeah, it just needed to be built up more, and there's just too much time sort of spent in the wrong places. I honestly think it's most of the way there, though.
Yeah, I think maybe that's part of the problem I was just thinking is that you spend most of the time with Charlie in the back of your mind going, yeah, but what's going to happen with this kid? Like, what's wrong with him? Or like,
Yeah.
what's...
Yeah.
Because I don't know anything about this kid and he seems a bit weird.
Yeah, but I think that's the problem. Like, if you spend your entire time watching the show trying to guess what's going to happen to the story, it means the story's boring and nothing's
Yeah.
happening because you're
Yeah.
going, maybe it's this. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, well, maybe it's this.
Maybe
Yeah.
he's actually a robot.
Yeah, because you're taking all the clues you've been given onward through
Yeah.
the episode, and you're like, oh, maybe it goes in this direction, and then it doesn't, and then you take another clue, and then you come up with more story than
Yeah.
that show had.
Yep.
And then the actual ending is not as good as some of the ones that you wanted to
Yeah,
see.
and also the ending was like, I literally wrote, the end, question mark? This is how you finish this episode?
Yeah.
Also because the Smothers Brothers bit at the end over the credits was like,
Yeah, it's just like, maybe
Cool,
they just,
cool.
maybe if they somehow mentally tried to base the entire structure of the episode over like
Yeah.
a Smothers Brothers routine, then hats off, because that's what it is. But otherwise, I find there's no story, there's no character arc, there's no character development. Lots of it doesn't make sense. There's tons of padding. Like if you compare this episode to where Homer adopts a little brother and Bart
Oh, yeah.
adopts
Yeah.
a big brother, that's an amazing episode that has a trajectory for both of them, a trajectory for both the adoptive father and kid, and a good resolution and a heart and learning. Like, that's an amazing episode, but this didn't come anywhere near that in kind of feeling, in comedy, in story. Like, this was a blank bullet in a fake gun.
Wow. Any musical moments
Yes.
that stuck out to you guys?
the young bloods get together
Oh, yeah.
I only knew it at first because it's the bit that Kurt Cobain sings like really weirdly at the start of Territorial Pissings. The, try to love one another right now. That one. That's the song that was playing at the start of the Brother montage.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was some other montage music. I didn't catch it.
Boil the cabbage down.
No.
Forgot about that one.
Boil that cabbage down. BT, do you have any other notes?
Just one, and it's where they have Bart go to Marge, like, oh, fine, have your birth control. It's your body anyway. And she goes, that's right, it is. Feels very much like a down the camera. See, a 10-year-old gets it. And I was like...
Oh, I took it to mean like she's upset, but she's like, yeah, I agree with you. It is.
I don't know.
It was odd.
Felt a little bit more pointy.
Yeah.
I think you'd like to have more chat with your 10-year-old who's switching out your birth control
Yeah.
than no chat.
How about you, Phil? Any other notes?
I really hated before they went into the brother dream montage. Bart lies in bed and goes, I don't need a stupid brother. And no amount of dreaming will tell me
Convince me,
otherwise. And then like it segues into a dream montage. I'm just like, that's such lazy writing.
No,
And then he comes out going,
I do need a brother.
I do need a big brother.
Yeah, I really hated that. Like, I nearly had a physical reaction to that. It was so shit. There was a very small Plough King callback from Barney with the snowplow right at the end. And they didn't play the Plough King song. So I was like a little bit sad.
Yeah.
But I was like, yay, play King. And then it's like, oh.
Mr. Plow, no es bueno. Yeah. How about you, Jordan? Any other notes?
Yeah, I got a couple of anal corners.
Couple of anal corners!
They fuck all the time, Homer and Marge, right?
Yep.
And they haven't got any brothers since. So why did Bart think like making them fuck was magically good? And he only
'Cause
learns
he's
about.
10.
Well, you've seen him hear them fuck before. So
Only
he
under
knows
special
that
circumstances.
no other brothers or sisters have been forthcoming. So he must have known there's got to be something
It would've
else
been-
here.
Yeah, it would have been
He's
cool
10.
if Bart thought that romantic dinners led to babies but didn't
Yeah.
know the mechanics between the two.
Yeah.
That would have been fine.
It'd be like, oh, every time they go out and have a romantic dinner, that's when they have babies.
No, and as an older brother, he might have like learnt that. Being
I'd buy it more
Yeah.
than him doing a 5-course meal.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
My last anal corner was the family drives off with Charlie and the 7 kids, and they're like all in the back seat, no seatbelts on, any of them.
Simpsons have a long history of no seatbelts.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is another reason to believe that Charlie is not heading towards a stable home.
No, they do not have
If
any
you've got
rules.
7 children in the back and none of them are belted, yeah.
If you've had 6 kids, you're like, you know what we need? A 7th.
You know what? I think they started with 12.
Oh, wow.
Oh, they just
They've
like
been Hunger Games.
replenish them every time. Yeah.
We have to have a constant of 6.
Oh dear God.
Sorry, that's all my inner corners. A couple of the notes I liked was Homer going, I'm not going to the hospital again. I'm only going there one more time and I'm not coming
Yeah.
back from it.
Yeah.
Ouch. The other one, Bart saying, oh, I asked Dad, but he said, we don't need a Kusei for your Uday or something
Yeah.
like that,
Oh.
which is like Saddam Hussein's kids.
Oh,
Like,
right.
so is he calling
really?
himself Saddam? And then just people just ignoring them, just yelling and talking in the cinema. Man, if someone was like, oh, look out, oh, that's fake in the cinema, I would just
Oh,
be,
yeah.
I would be livid.
Yeah.
I'd go and talk to the manager. I wouldn't talk to them because I hate confrontation.
But you love authority.
Yeah, that's true.
You're standing behind the usher. You tell him what for.
See, my problem with, like, if you go and get the manager, you miss out on the movie that you're trying to find the
It's
manager
all.
for.
It's either that or ruin the rest of the movie.
That's true. Well, the manager's most likely a 16-year-old guy on part-time work. He's
Yeah.
like, well, I don't get paid enough to, especially Homer and his propensity to fight.
All right, time for my final notes. I liked the scene with the bullies as well, where Bart was looking for advice, and they were, what you doing? Hawking lugs. Oh, nice lug. I wish I hawked that.
Yeah, that was pretty cute.
Yeah, like normally the bullies are like one of my biggest gripes, but I pretty well loved every bit of material from this. Like
Yeah.
how Dolph had carpal nurple syndrome.
Yeah.
And they were,
Wake up call for all of us.
really makes me
and
think.
who was it that was doing like the sledding with the nerds at the start?
Oh, yeah,
No,
yeah,
it
it
was
was
all three of
Jimbo,
them,
yeah.
Oh, it was Jimbo.
Much nerds, yeah.
Yeah.
That was funny.
I'm part of a team.
I did like Ralph's I'm part of the team. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked Bart's excuse for picking up the orphan on behalf of his parents that a Jaws bit off my dad's wiener.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not even a shark, a Jaws.
Yep.
And my final note is Bart describing Charlie as well. He's like little orphan Annie, except he hates tomorrow.
Then I didn't need him doing it afterwards was like,
The second
yeah,
bite we didn't need.
yeah.
I
was
liked it
fine.
but it would have been better if it lent more into his character being a bit unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
It is time to rank this thing! On the Simpsons Index, we rank using our 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just meh, you give participant. But for the good rankings, you got good, bronze, great, silver, excellent, gold. But for the best of the very best, you give cubic zirconia. Let me go first. I'm going to show you how it's done. I wasn't as down on this episode as you guys, but I am still pretty down on it. I'm giving it a bronze.
Whoa.
Just know that it only just got over the line for me. I think because there are a lot of jokes that I liked. There was the emotional core of the story, which I thought was most of the way there. Save for a few improvements, I still enjoyed this episode. Jordan, you're next.
I was going to say, if this just got over the line, I'm imagining like the smoking wreck with 3 wheels as it just like chunks over the line. Whereas my one, I got DQ'd back at the start. So this is participant for me. I was thinking about like, I haven't thought about what I would give it. Give it a bronze? No, I don't ever want to watch it again. So that's pretty clear cut for me. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I guess that's the difference is that I would.
Yeah.
How about you, Phil?
I don't hate it as much as I've hated other ones they've hated, but I did hate it quite a bit.
You hate it enough is the question.
I know, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Ooh.
I feel like it still had bits in it.
Want some time to mull?
No, I think I'm going to hardline participant on this one.
All right.
Well, Elliot, you should find out if Phil has failed anything in the past.
Plenty
I'm
of
sure he
times.
has.
Reference point.
Oh, yeah, I'm an easy fail.
You're like, what's it as bad as?
Homer and Ned's Hail Mary pass. Remember when Homer
Yeah.
was making up dances for the
Actually,
NFL?
I didn't hate it as much as that.
Yeah, you also failed The Devil Wears Nada.
Yes, that was... yeah, that
But
was-
actually, no, you bring up a good point. Phil has actually had significantly more participants than failures.
Yeah, because I have a good heart, and I always want to give them a little bit more just at the end.
Aw. Yeah, you need more fails, Phil. God, I've been going light on you, apparently.
Participant Phil.
Fail it.
You don't have to fail it on that.
Already done.
You really want to fail it?
Yep, I don't care to ever see it again, and I wish it never existed.
Oh,
Hey,
wow.
That sounds pretty failure. I will say, the way you were talking about it during the questionnaire, I thought you were going to go to fail.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah, I thought I was, but then I was like, the Ned and Homer football one was just a smortion of everything. Like, it didn't make any sense, even character-wise, whereas this wasn't that terrible,
Yep.
but fail it.
Fail it? All right. All right, BT, finish it off.
I'm just going to straight participant. I was more bored than anything else. I don't hate it enough to want to kick it in the pit. I nothing it. Go away.
All right. Well, this will equal a participant by split decision.
Ooh.
This,
Ding, ding.
the only other time this has happened is with Simpsorama, the Futurama
yeah.
Simpsons crossover, which got a bronze participant fail ranking. Yeah. And it'll be joining other participants like Friends and Family, the weird VR one, Yellow Subterfuge with Bart and Skinner and the submarine trip.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Burns and the Bees,
Wow.
which we reviewed with you last time, Jordan.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Very participanty. And there's something about marrying, the other Huell
Oh,
Hauser episode.
look at that.
How
Sorry,
about
Huell. R.I.P. Wait, was he in the other one as well as himself?
that? No.
That was
that was Hal Huelzer.
Yeah. Oh, no, but I mean,
Was he
it wasn't
voiced?
his voice,
No.
was it? It was a parody. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
All right. Before we move on, is that reputation justified?
Is that reputation justified?
Todd Vanderwerf of the AV Club.
What's a Vanderwerf?
Oh, I was just listening to this guy. No, I wasn't listening to the guy. I was listening to the Maddie episode where
right.
he also had another one.
Yeah. But he gave this episode a B+, which for AV Club is like actually a silverish.
That's
Like,
what he gave the last one as well, and you liked that.
That was a good one, though.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff that was not the best in this episode, like how the main storyline just ended. But I laughed a whole bunch and I found the character dynamics well built. That final scene with Bart and Homer chowing down in the movie theater, it was kind of nothing as an ending, but it still worked in spite of itself.
What? I've not heard a bigger load of rambling nothingness since I
Of
read...
contradictions within his own
I
sentence.
read
Yeah.
since I read the paper yesterday about our new Prime Minister, Scott Morrison.
And Robert Canning of IGN,
Robert the Feather Touch Canning.
he gave this episode a 7.6 out of 10.
Of
Of course he fucking did. Yeah.
Like better Simpsons episodes, it ended with a sweet moment reminding us that even with all of his shortcomings, Bart will always have his dad, ...
Nope.
to watch torture porn R-rated movies with.
Did he literally watch the last 5 seconds of this whole show?
Well, I just liked it how both those reviewers had different takes on that final ending.
Yeah.
I like how the first reviewer from AV Club is like, it was a bit nothing, but it worked. Like, no, those are two opposed things. It either was kind of nothing or it worked.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that does it for the HD era. Now we are going back to the teens with an episode that I've actually been threatening for a long time. We are going to go back and dive into the deep history of Nelson's father.
Oh.
We'll be watching the teens episode Sleeping with the Enemy. We'll be back. And we are back, and we just watched our Teens Era episode for this evening. This was Season 16, Episode 3, Sleeping with the Enemy. First released in November of '04. It was directed by Lauren Macmillan and written by John Vitti, and this was both their last directing and writing jobs for The Simpsons.
They swapped after that?
I think they just left.
Yeah. Poor John Vitti. He's written some good episodes.
Oh, definitely. And in this episode, Marge is feeling like the kids don't appreciate her anymore, so she takes a shine to Nelson, who she starts like giving him an allowance for doing the lawns and all that sort of shit, and makes Bart really worried. And also in the B story, Lisa's got a body image problem. Guys, what did you think?
I didn't like it.
I actually...
Roaring chorus.
I felt like it was, more constantly better than the last episode, but the ending tanks.
It really does, yeah.
Like, the ending is fucked.
Considering that, the ending is all about the return of Nelson's dad, and he's been consistently gone the entire time. To suddenly just shove him back in is very weird. And I don't know if he hangs around either. Is he in future episodes? I can't remember.
He makes sporadic appearances, but he's not even really on this model. Like, we watched the lacrosse episode, and it just didn't look like him.
Yeah, and also occurs that there's that bit in the Pee Wee football episode. It's like, well done, son. I'm taking you to Hooters. So he's been around.
Yeah, and to cap it off with this bullshit, so I'm going to say that's the moment from the episode that stood out to me, is just this: Bart happens to see him in a freak show having peanuts pelted at him.
Yeah, for some reason Bart is dressed in like a 1940s kind of outfit.
Why?
And also he recognized it as Nelson's
Not only being
dad.
Nelson's dad, but Nelson's dad who's under anaphylactic shock so bad that he's like got massive lumps on his head.
And talking gibberish. Yeah.
And assuming he's been under constant anaphylactic shock for months.
Well, they were pelting him with peanuts in the freak show. So
but if you get that bad a reaction, it would kill you.
That's not how peanut allergies work. You just die.
I thought you just went to the circus.
I just fucking hated everything about this ending, and it was such a shame because I was kind of on board. So how about you, BT? What's a moment from this episode that stands out to you for better or worse?
I'm going to take out my major gripe here, which is that, damn it, Skinner is a hardened war veteran. He does not need help taking vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is something we've talked about before. The term is Flanderization, where they take one aspect of a character and inflate it to ridiculous proportions. I think Skinner is a better example because he was always the hard authoritarian who, in the face of his mother or in Chalmers, was then crumpled down and like a paper tiger. And that is just completely a good example here of how that's completely lost because his mother's, for some reason, in the school was like, do you want your vitamins like a big boy? You want it chomped up in your apple juice? And he's like, the apple juice.
Yeah,
no, this is the wrong joke for that character.
In the last episode as well, where Charlie and Bart are pelting him with snowballs, and
she's like, my son afraid of water.
I was expecting him to go like full into combat mode.
That would be like
or something.
This is the Skinner who was like, no, you made a mistake. You got an ex-Green Beret mad.
I was expecting to like roll behind like the fence paling and like scrounge up something and like chuck it back, but no. Anyway,
if he had a flashback, he sees his mama walk out and he sees the snowball and like dives on top of it.
They play the platoon music. No, he turns to run from the snowballs and does the arms in the air bit. Yes, come on.
Writes itself.
I know, come on.
How about you, Phil? What's a moment from this episode that stands out to you for better or worse?
I'm going to controversially focus on a good point of this, and I liked the way that they set up the classic taken for granted housewife finds respect and love somewhere else, affair type scenario, but they did it with her son rather than the husband. And I kind of liked where that was going and how that was playing out, and I thought all that kind of worked quite well, and as a story it made sense that the kids were disregarding her and just
for their own individual reasons as well. It wasn't just a thing that was happening. It kind of built to it a little bit more.
And Homer being just dismissive about, well, that's just how it is, and then you'll have thousands of hours of alone time, and then the sweet release of death. And I thought that was not a huge twist, but a nice twist on that storyline. But the last act did fall flat in his face.
It was a nice little bit in that as well when Marge takes Nelson bowling and cuts up his hot dog but puts it in his arrangement of a smiley face.
Yeah.
That's a very Marge thing to do.
Yeah, it's very cute. Did your parents ever did that? for your dinner sometimes. They'd make like it into a little like face or something.
I haven't been 5 for a long time.
My mum used to do this thing. I thought it was great. We'd have like mashed potato with a meal or something. She would like shape it and then like get a fork and scrape the back of it and put 2 little peas as eyes, like it was a hedgehog.
Ah.
It was really super cute now that I think about it.
And what did she call it?
Look, it's a hedgehog.
So we know where your mum's creativity stops.
Yeah, well.
Well, to be fair,
Sculpture, yes. Naming things, not so good.
that's a kind of a tough pun to work in.
Yeah.
Mashy
get
the
something.
hedgehog.
Yeah.
One thing my dad used to do when he'd make my sandwiches for taking to lunch to school, he'd never cut them either the conventional diagonal or rectangle. He'd always do some like off rectangle, or he'd do like a jigsaw puzzle piece with like a little.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
Like with a chunk out of the middle of one and a hole in the other. That's cool.
How did you do the chunk?
he was very good with a knife and sandwich.
I was
Really?
expecting him to get like the jigsaw out and be like,
He's actually cutting it in the garage. Yeah.
Come to think of it, a lot of that sawdust was Vegemite flavored, so it may have been.
Why were you licking the sawdust, Elliot?
It was good.
Anyway, so we're eating lunch in class because it was a rainy day, and my teacher sees the sandwich and he goes, "What the hell is that meant to be?" Because it was cut weird. And I'm like, "It's a sandwich." And he goes, "Eating with your mouth full, detention." I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Eating with your mouth full?
Was the
Talking with your mouth
I was
full.
about to say,
Right.
that's even worse.
Also, even if that was something you were doing on your own volition, that's not enough for detention.
That's entrapment.
No, Mr. Moore was a fuckwit.
Clearly.
So the whole Marge thing, I don't feel like the story earned the Marge moment from the beginning, though. Like, I kind of get where they were going for, but I feel like there was a bit of disconnect between Bart's party and Marge
Yeah.
feeling underappreciated.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there was this line, it's like, "Oh, it's the best I could do on short notice." I was like, "Why was it?"
Yeah, why did it have to be short?
Okay, we'll
notice?
do it in 3 weeks. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll be a shit party with your 2 aunts, your grandma, your grandfather, and the 2 dweebs from school.
Yeah.
I'm sure Bart would have gone, yeah, let's wait a couple of weeks.
although I will say, totally saved by Ralph playing Duck Duck Goose.
Oh,
Apart from the 45-second callback.
Yeah, that callback was too long, but I did like duck 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 duck
Oh,
duck.
God.
so in my research for doing this episode today, that was the only moment that actually had any significant internet comment that, yeah, the whole Ralph playing Duck Duck Goose thing had become a minor internet meme.
Yeah, it'll make a great GIF.
I mean, it's much like Old Man Yells at Cloud. That actually doesn't come from a good episode either. Like, that's
Oh.
all these memed moments from
Yeah.
not that great episodes.
Yeah.
I guess you're paying attention to them more because you're just waiting for the good stuff.
Same with the I have 3 kids and no money. Why don't I have 3 money?
Yeah,
no
yeah.
kids?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
How about you, Jordan? What is a moment from this episode that stands out to you for better or worse?
All right, there was a bit in the third act where I looked down for a bit and then I looked back up and it was Lisa pulling a cake out of the fridge.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, the lighting's all weird. This
Yeah.
is a dream sequence.
Oh.
And then it got really ridiculous and the camera work was really kind of off center and it was zooming in on her face and doing weird stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's definitely a dream sequence. And then Bart showed up halfway through as she's like, making a snow angel in the giant cake. And I'm like, what the fuck was going on in that? Like, that didn't really make sense.
I don't think you were looking down. I think your eyes were rolling from Nelson singing Streisand.
Oh, yeah, that could have been it, actually.
I
Yeah,
was nearly dead in that.
yeah, singing Yentl.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
wasn't even a good parody.
The problem with
I
any
agree, 100%.
Yeah,
No singing.
different reasons, but yes.
look, sometimes songs can work. Sometimes I defend the songs.
That's
but
true. See my vest? Tick. Everything else? Thumbs down.
See My Vest is a perfect thing that I need to illustrate my point, is that ballads often don't work because they are long, they are drawn out. Part of musical parody that like gets people offside is that you can see the rhymes coming from a mile away.
Yep.
And that was the same with this, especially because they weren't doing any jokes per se. It was just more story.
The fact that he was doing it was the joke.
Yeah, it was just ramping up some drama that he missed his dad, which hadn't been touched on at all in the episode prior. And yeah, was just forcing in for this bullshit ending, which also was bullshit. But the Lisa Cake thing,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's her manic going purging after resisting
Well,
eating. which,
binging, not purging.
So my question is obviously a detail
Sorry.
that I missed. Where did the cake come from?
Well, it said Happy Birthday, Lenny, or
It said
something like
Happy
Happy Labor Day.
Oh, Happy Labor Day, Lenny.
I actually
Yeah.
quite like that as well.
Which, like, that was great, but she never had a problem with overeating. That wasn't her issue. So why did they try and like resolve it? It was her issue was
She had a
I
big
feel like I'm fat or I have a big butt or
'cause she'd
whatever.
been starving herself. You saw her eat that one
Yeah.
sliver of carrot.
Well, then it's like I can just eat a meal and be fine? Why did she have to be like, no, I have to resist this cake? She never went around eating whole cakes before. That wasn't the point.
I feel like you don't understand how binging works.
Yeah.
But she wasn't getting into that. That's the whole thing. Like,
Look, I'm going to say that this episode did not handle the whole Lisa
No.
body image thing
it
well
was
at all.
really poor.
It was trying to do too many things at once. Like, I agree with you. Like, I mean, I get what they were doing with the whole binging on the cake scene, but also I don't think it was necessary because I agree, that wasn't the issue. And I think The Simpsons as a 22 animated sitcom doesn't have the facility to deal with something as big as this,
Yeah.
which is highlighted in the ending where they're like, it's an open-ended problem. Like,
No, I would say I like the bit where they just said, it's not resolved, and it's like, and Homer's got that, no, you have to say it's resolved. And it's like, that's a bigger issue that can be tackled in this short period of time. It's like,
yeah.
yep, fair. I mean, obviously they don't keep it as a continuing thing, but I appreciate they just say, yeah, it's too big of an issue to completely wrap up already. So,
But I don't even think they did a good job of telling a story about it.
no, that part they most definitely didn't.
No.
Yeah, because the story's really about bullying in that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they resolve Lisa's bullying by more bullying. So, you know.
Because that's the thing. She didn't have an issue with food. She had an issue with her body image.
Yeah.
Especially because there was like a perfect crossover moment that they orchestrated where the reason that Lisa's bullying gets solved and bullying is the cause of her eating disorder is that another bully comes and bullies that bully. And that's the moment where Lisa learns a lesson that bullies aren't always right and you need self-respect. And Nelson learns a lesson that bullying isn't always the answer and this is how it affects other people because he gets to see the other side of the coin. But they just moved along.
They did the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, and although I did appreciate when everyone started teasing Cherry and Cherry about being stinky and the skunk joined in and with the little waving of the hands.
Yeah. No, that was good because I liked how lazy the lyrics were in that because it was like, kid lazy, stink, 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 one horse open sleigh.
I think maybe the lesson that they could say that they were trying to do but didn't really is that kids bully other kids and it's pretty awful, but they have short attention spans and it will go
That's
away.
what I kind of felt like they were doing is like if you just focus on something about Cherry and Terry and say that they stink, no one's going to remember the whole Lisa has a big butt thing.
Not the best message for
No,
children.
But it's going to
But
work.
Yeah, it's more resolvable. But there's just like, especially Lisa could have had a moment with Nelson where she's like, no, this isn't going to help because this is what bullying's done to me. And just because it stops from one end doesn't mean that it stops here.
Yeah.
Especially because Nelson was bullying Bart in his own home over his own breakfast.
All I'm hearing is then just don't put it in the episode.
Yeah. No, I am 100% with you. I would have much rather watched the whole Marge Nelson dynamic play out a lot further and deeper than them even bother to touch this very touchy issue. And bungle it in the way that they did. So how about play count? How many times before tonight have you seen this episode?
Possibly the twice.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think I've seen this once or twice before.
I don't think I have.
Yeah, I have seen this a handful of times, and I know this is an episode that has tricked me in the past before because...
Yeah, it opens very differently.
It's a fine enough ride until you get up to the peanut throwing, and then it really tanks. So how about the wackiness of this episode besides the whole circus freak thing?
Oh, one I didn't like, the two kids in the Saks 5th grade who were looking at the model on the TV show. It's like, I hear she's back to her birth weight. And I'm like, yeesh, that's fucking gross. That's like, you will die.
And they did the video of the model on the catwalk who was...
Spins and vanishes on the side on.
Yeah. And this whole scene in the store or whatever, I felt like South Park did it better with their Paris Hilton episode. Like,
Stupid something whore.
Stupid spoiled whore.
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
Video play set. Yeah. Any other wacky moments?
I mean, there was a part at the beginning where Homer literally teaches you how to draw Homer.
Fuck this.
Which I don't know what that was or why.
I liked how it
Why did you
started
put that
where
in?
he's like, well, everyone starts with the Simpsons circle. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of funny. But then it just, dragged on too much.
Yeah, it
And
became,
then my hair looks like an M and a G for some... Shut
Yeah.
the fuck up.
Oh, pointing out the whole M and G thing, like how fucking inside holding up the mirror, breaking the fourth wall at the same
And then
time.
there's a bit that I really hate where she's like, whenever I'm feeling a little overweight, I just fool everybody with a sweater. And he throws on a sweater and is like,
And his body
butt
is all out of
enormous in
proportion.
the
Yeah.
frickin' frame. And
I do like that he
it's
has a
dumb.
giant sandwich from nowhere.
Hey,
Yeah.
that bit's good.
Yeah, pulling
But,
out a sandwich from Hammer Space, that's fine.
Yeah.
The thing I want to say is, this is another proof of like Homer is a god.
Yeah.
It's a little bit left of field, but he draws two absolutely perfect circles. Have you ever tried to draw a perfect circle? fucking near
I
impossible.
find it hard to listen to A Perfect Circle.
I was just about to say, I have the hardest time trying to draw Maine at home.
I was on the same page there, buddy.
But yeah, he draws it freehand, like not with a compass or anything, just like amazing.
How does this joke come in the writer's room, though? We need something to fill half a minute here. How about drawing Homer? Like, come on.
And then Homer eats a sandwich for 20 seconds.
Yeah, and then does the whole reaching out your own hands to your back to make it look like someone. That was fucking tedious.
Yeah.
Any other wacky moments?
It wasn't wacky, but I do like Lisa's extreme hopscotch.
Yeah. Oh, that's the biggest shame about the bullying.
Yeah.
That no one got to try out
Enjoy the
this,
hopscotch.
this difficult ass hopscotch.
I did really
course.
think that would be the catalyst to go into a story. It's
Yeah.
Like, that, like maybe at the end of the day is all the kids have sprained ankles because of extreme hopscotch.
Yeah.
Or someone breaks an ankle. Or
Like their
something, yeah.
calves are just like aching, like
Yeah, they
Yeah.
can't
pulling
walk.
out.
They're all
Yeah.
cramped.
Oh, maybe wacky the fact that everyone got 100 on the test because Mrs. Krabappel forgot to put the map away.
I did. That was quite good.
I like how they roll with it, though.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he
Like,
got it,
sorry.
and he's still going to get his party.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
100.
Still got
So,
100, yeah.
I just like that as a device, though. It's like, I gave a map on US capitals and I forgot to put up the map.
Yeah.
It's like, if I was a teacher, I would have done that 3 times
Oh,
by now.
I actually had a moment similar to this happen throughout my life. Back when I was 14, I played football for a year. Can you imagine me doing a sport? How about that?
Do you mean the soccer football or the rugby football?
Rugby league, yeah.
Oh.
So our team was just, the whole season, never won a game.
What was your biggest margin of loss?
60s. Like,
Oh, okay. That's not too bad.
No, we were bad.
Okay, considering there's like AFL teams that lose like 450 to 6 and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
So one day I just perk up, hey, Mum, hey, Dad, could you let me have a party if I get a try today? And they're like, yeah, one of your team is going to score a try, let alone, yeah, you can have your party. And
Please
I-
tell me they said it exactly like that.
Oh,
And your dad was cutting sandwiches obtusely at the same time. He's like,
Yeah,
sure, son.
He's the one cutting oranges for halftime, and it's all zigzags.
It's just a whole peel.
it's like an MC Escher painting, like the whole orange just like comes apart.
OC Escher.
yes.
Orange County issue.
And yeah, I got a try. It was a hard-fought try.
You had a party on the line.
Yeah,
There was like 6 guys hanging off you and just
there
like,
was.
"No,
But
gonna
yeah,
make it."
because I
Is
had
that the party or the try?
But yeah, because like I was a foot taller than everybody else in my age group, like yeah, it was like that. 6 kids were hanging off me, pushing me back. The ref's like, fuck, you got to make the try, mate. I got to call this. And I just like literally fell over. He's like, yeah, it's good. Look over at Mum and Dad, jaw agape, and it was fantastic.
And they're like, why don't we just give the ball to Elliot all the time?
I was about to say, if you're a foot taller than everyone else on the team and the other team,
I'd get scared when people started running towards me, so I'd start slowing down and I'd like give them the ball and run away.
Ah, you take it. I don't want it.
So how about the heart of this episode? Did you guys feel bumps?
Some of the Nelson Marge stuff was like
Yeah.
okay, but it just wasn't enough.
You know, I kind of wish they lent in more to like Nelson being Marge's little, I don't know, thug, bouncer, whatever.
I think they could have done a lot with Nelson becoming the favourite son.
Yeah.
That would have been a huge turnover for Bart.
Yeah, because the whole thing is just not feeling needed anymore, so...
Yeah, like Marge getting adult bullied and Nelson like helping her out somehow. I don't know.
That'd be kind of fun.
That'd be fun.
Tiny little Nelson and a full grown man. Hey, buddy.
Yeah,
You'd be
no, like...
No, think about like Marge like at the store or something, and they won't like double bag her groceries or something, and Nelson's like, "I'll sort this out for you."
yeah, and he roughs up the squeaky voice team or something.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, and it makes me wish, that was more of the episode, because then, it pivots into being about Nelson missing his dad, and it's a shame, because I
It's a
think...
bad pivot.
Well, you can give it a bit more time and a bit earlier, so it's relevant to the story.
Yeah.
As opposed to
Something they just kind
everything in the
of
last.
shoved in.
It feels like they thought this was going to be a 3-episode arc, and then they got the news on the last day that it
Yeah.
wasn't going to be, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Fuck!"
Yeah.
Well, when you said it was about Nelson's dad, I'm like, oh, okay, well, it must be about Nelson's dad from the beginning because they don't reset to
Or
zero.
at least halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What it is literally Nelson sings a song about missing his dad, and Bart then somehow finds him in a circus.
I
Yep.
presumed it was immediately the day after as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And the same circus just happened to be in town that very day.
Yeah, because Bart hasn't got a car.
And Bart just happened to have his orphan clothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, this sucks because, I do think the heart of the episode lied in, Marge sticking up for Nelson. Like, in that moment where Mrs. Muntz comes back and gives the money back, we don't need your charity. I loved that bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
the bit where she goes trying not to fornicate on the streets on the way home. That was awesome.
I just watched it looking at all the family's face and like, oh my God.
Or just before that, when she turns back and just her underwear falls down.
Yeah.
That was awesome. We don't need your charity. I do love a good pants for her,
Yeah.
grandpa's.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Ultimately, though, guys, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
No. Well, in some parts, but I'm going to say that Marge was not right because there's that scene you were alluding to before where she's complaining in bed
Mm-hmm.
and she says something like, my kids would rather spend time with their friends than with me. And I'm like, that's what you took out of this, Marge? That's really selfish and that's totally unlike you at all. When it's really like your kids are both... Lisa is really struggling and you should be able to recognize the warning signs for that.
Yeah.
And Bart is...
Temporarily disappointed.
Well, yeah. I mean, put yourself... She thinks she probably threw a really great party, but it wasn't about them spending time with their friends at all.
Yeah.
Because even when she drops Lisa off and she's got like, I'm just going to spend time in the reading in the library and it's that like thin fitness book or whatever.
Yeah, thin by third grade.
Yeah. Like, why are you thinking that it's all about
To
you?
be
And
fair, Bart
Yeah.
does say, when I need desperate and needy, I'll call Millhouse.
that's
That's
after.
the closest we've got.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Bart, and that is
Yeah.
Millhouse.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why I hate the motivations of this episode is that with this whole party thing, which is not a party that Bart deserved, by the way, and they're just like, oh, whatever, he got his 100, we'll roll with it, we'll give him a party. And it wasn't that great, and Bart was being a little bit cunty as well, especially he's getting presents for essentially nothing.
Yeah.
And,
The presents I didn't
You
understand.
got a really nice rake.
yeah, and that credit union mug.
Credit union mug.
Oh,
Yeah, I
love
don't
my
know
one
why I
of
got
those.
presents, though, but maybe that's just a kid's version of what a party is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really know, is this meant to be Bart's being a bit of a cunt right now, or Marge is just like, oh, God, I don't understand what my children want or anything. And then, yeah, you're right, Jordan. It just becomes about they don't
Why is
appreciate
anyone
me.
spending time with me? I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not what Marge is about. Marge is about like, oh, I'm really worried about Lisa.
Yeah.
She doesn't
Yeah.
do anything to help her.
Well, especially when like she goes, soon my kids are going to grow up and leave me, and I've got plenty of mothering to give. You have a non-speaking 1-year-old still.
Yep.
You've
Yes.
got plenty of years of mothering ahead of you.
That she's constantly wheeling around by hanging out with Nelson as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, all that was to say that Marge did not feel like
No,
her
I agree.
at all.
Yes or no, would you watch this one again?
Hangover test, maybe.
Nah, probably not. I didn't really get many funnies out of it.
Even if I'm hungover, I'll probably be like, I want something better.
Mhm.
I don't want to get stuck with mediocrity.
When you're in a bad place, you don't want bad things.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like, yeah.
I'll
It's
definitely
different.
stick around for Ralph Goose.
Definitely. Oh, and his line, Bart is my best boyfriend.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one, too.
In the right voice.
Bart is my best boyfriend.
Thank you.
Nice.
The fuck was that?
Duck, Simba,
Okay.
duck.
James or Ralph.
I'm so confused.
I did love that bit with Martin, though, with that as well. With the, okay, I need everyone to start by drawing
Yeah.
a portrait of Lyndon Johnson, was it? Or
Eisenhower.
Eisenhower, that's right.
BT, what would you change about this episode?
The ending mostly.
Yeah.
Third act, or pretty much all of that. Even just establish it earlier, if that's what the one you want to have. I'd maybe like to see Nelson maybe being a bit more of a hoodlum and Marge being like, well, maybe you can't change other people's kids. And having her own kids come back around to need her a little bit, I think would have been more fulfilling because they kind of just end with, well, your surrogate son is gone now, you're back with us.
Oh, imagine if like Nelson was beating up on Bart more and Marge discovered that and was like, oh no, this is the son I need to protect. Oh.
Yeah, something like
I don't
that
know.
even. Or even if earlier on they get Nelson's dad back and Nelson leaves and Marge has that, oh, well, he's gone now and the Bart and Lisa do something. I don't know. Something.
Anything. How about you, Phil? What would you like to change about this episode?
I reckon you could drop the Bart storyline entirely and then run a bullying-enabled teasing of Lisa rather than an eating disorder one, which
Yeah.
would parallel with the Marge and Nelson story, and then just bring the father stuff into it way at the beginning, maybe say the first act, and then you could give it a reasonable ending to both those stories that kind of cross over and everyone learns to appreciate themselves at the end. But
Yeah.
so I reckon you could, if you lost the Bart one and gave more time to Nelson's dad and also swapped bulimia for bullying,
Yeah.
plot the B's, cross the T's, dot the I's, we've got ourselves a bitty.
A bitty.
Yeah.
Very good. How about you, Jordan? What would you like to change about this episode?
I wouldn't tackle that issue unless you've kind of really equipped to deal with it or
Yeah.
have something to say.
Then have maybe the 4 scenes it was referenced in.
Yeah. Get rid of that and shorten the second Ralph bit
Yeah.
to him
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
coming in and starting duck, duck, like again and just cut after 2. I was just going to say I counted there was like 5 revolutions
Yeah.
of
Oh,
the
wow.
couches that he did.
Yeah, it's such a good bit, but to extend it that much.
Yeah.
Literally, my note says Ralph, duck, duck, goose. Then callback, way too long. Dash, everyone in the room is writing.
Yeah. We're all just like,
Too long.
You know what my note for that Ralph doing the duck, duck, duck thing again was? Ralph Redux.
Well done.
What would I change? Oh, God.
Redux.
If Nelson's dad is meant to be the point of the episode, have it peppered throughout the episode.
Yep.
I liked the Marge Nelson stuff. I liked little else about this episode. I would have liked to see a bit more of that. And I don't know, maybe even have Maggie cotton on to Nelson's maybe not such a great dude, and like she's trying to let Bart and Lisa know through her subtle Maggie ways. I like a bit of, kid hijinks and stuff like that.
Melt
So
to the head, something, etc.
yeah, have her shoot him,
By the time
Sorry,
she
eh?
shot the mafia.
Yeah, just trying to think of, just Maggie things.
Yeah.
It's like those memes you see on Facebook in the running mode. Just Maggie things.
Yeah.
Any musical moments that stood out to you guys?
Just, Papa,
Yes.
can you hear me?
2
Yeah.
songs.
What was the other one?
The planing out the thighs, planing down the
Oh, yeah,
thighs.
that was
oh,
weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
I make $4 an hour.
Oh,
playing
yeah.
down the
The guy
thighs.
shaving extra size off the store mannequin in the...
Yep.
And then Nelson singing Barbra Streisand. Like, fuck my world from both ends.
Yeah. Jordan, do you have any other notes?
I only had one anal corner.
corner.
Apart
2
from,
more and I'll have a triangle.
Yeah. There's a bit where Lisa's skipping and she's like 66, 67, 68. But for every one, she's doing 2 skips.
Oh.
And she's actually like,
She's double timing it.
she's done 100 and what's that? 38? By the
Six.
no, 146 or whatever it is. I don't know.
It's called Double Dutch.
Yeah. Anyway,
Ah.
132. That's right. Never mind. I can do maths.
Yeah, I felt so bad for her in that moment. Sherry and Terry were just so cunty in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like how Nelson was like a nervous dog with the
When
sandwich.
offers
Oh,
it
yeah.
lunch.
Yeah.
Kind
That
of
was
like
pretty cool.
looking side to side, like grabbing and then pulling it and then eating it over the other side.
I thought
of
they
the
were going to have a good moment there where he was kind of confused about how he can steal the sandwich off himself. as like a bullying angle.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm stealing my own lunch here.
Yeah. He'd be like, give me that. Wait a minute.
And it was kind of gross, but I did like him eating the leeches.
Yeah. Tadpoles. They were, they're not nutritious.
Ugh.
Gross.
At least leeches have blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did, like,
Nutritious blood.
I did like how he told Marge, like, yeah, thanks, it didn't suck nard.
Yeah.
Like, that's an expression you don't hear anymore.
He was got a TV. He's stuck in Saved by the Bell
Yeah,
times,
that's
I
true.
guess.
Yeah.
John discovered that in LA, heard, there's a Saved by the Bell themed restaurant that has their restaurant is set up like the cafeteria in Saved by the Bell.
Wow.
And it's called something shit, like Saved by the Lunch or something.
I was about to say, I don't know what a good pun off that would
Yeah,
be.
but it's not a good pun.
Yeah.
Saved by the brunch, bell lunch. I don't
No.
know.
Saved by the bell pepper.
Yeah,
Oh.
even then, it's a stretch. Served by the lunch.
Served by the Bell.
Served by
Yeah.
the-
I was thinking about like maybe it's how they used to apparently at like Disney World, if you saw like the guys in the Toy Story costumes, you go, and he's coming, they would like drop on the floor, but they had to stop it because like
It would happen
Yeah.
a lot.
yeah,
They would
and
get
it
hurt.
was
Getting
yeah,
injured.
people were getting hurt. I'm imagining like you go to the restaurant and you go time stop, and they all have to
They'd be like, for fuck's sake.
go.
I'm carrying very hot nachos right now.
Have you
Fuck
seen-
your soliloquy.
It's a very, very old YouTube video, but there used to be a web series, or maybe it was just a one-off, and it was called 28 Days Slater. And it was just about a dude who, for the month of February, turned into AC Slater. It was, at the time, very funny.
Marge was like cooking pancakes in like butter. They looked fucking delicious. I really wanted to bite them.
I really didn't know where you were going there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm like, usually you cook the pancake and like the oil just stops it from sticking, right?
Oh, yeah.
But these were
was
like,
like a deep fried pancake.
Yeah,
Mm.
they looked
Maybe
amazing.
she was maple syruping them
Ooh,
instead of oil.
Fried in syrup. That's amazing.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
I'm already
sorry.
diabetic, but damn.
Yeah, I didn't like that bit though where Nelson was like bullying Bart into savoring the flavor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
That
do
was
this.
tedious.
They do this thing where Nelson is like this kind of enlightened soul, like he's
Gourmand.
Every now
Yeah.
and then.
like he just comes out with this wisdom.
A Renaissance bully, yeah.
It's really strange, but like, yeah, with that one, that was a little bit too.
Yeah,
Let them dance on your palate.
yeah, it's like it hints at a deeper Nelson that we never get to see anywhere else.
Because like he really loves, for example, like Andy Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like things like that, really strange.
And he's got that whole, and if the berries are too tight, I just dust them with a confectioner sugar.
Yeah. Strange. Anyway, I liked Marge's going on about the Tootsie Pop. Like, you think, like,
Yeah.
you know, there's a hard, crunchy center, but there's a sweet caramel on the inside. I'll give you a Tootsie Pop if you let him.
Yeah.
But I got really confused because she's like, do you know how Tootsie Pop's got a hard, crunchy outside and a smooth center? And if you lick the hard outside, and I just had a moment where I'm like, where the fuck is this going?
What's she want him to do to Nelson?
Yeah. And lastly, weird that Nelson at one point says, like, I had a sister once. I think she's dead now. But anyway,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not good.
It's just, wait,
Very
what?
strange.
Yeah.
In an episode that's so focused on family, especially the Muntz family, just have, there was another one, she died, whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
especially where Lisa's like literally going through an eating disorder.
Yeah.
And that was it?
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, Willie's a dick as well.
What are you doing?
Saying, like,
He
oh,
meant well.
yeah, he
Yeah.
did, but like, come on, man. Where he was like, don't make fun of her. She's as God intended, plump as a Christmas goose.
Oh, dear.
Eh.
Willie. All right, it's time for my final notes. I liked Nelson remembering Bart as well. Oh, yeah, soft kidneys, can't stop hitting himself.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And Marge as well, such a Marge moment where she calls it Itchy and Mitchy.
Yeah.
He's always watching those Itchy and Mitchy cartoons.
Yep.
Mo was in his classic Posies get-up.
Oh, yeah, he does love that.
Yeah, that's his pimp mode.
His one
Yeah.
suit, yeah.
Yeah. I said I might take him camping. Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird when he
Skis bag.
tried to
Oh,
come
yeah,
back
that
in at
was
the
weird.
end and be part of the family.
Especially because he doesn't arrive from the door. He arrives from,
Yeah.
like within the Simpson house.
Yep.
Yeah, we liked it the last episode where he was just inexplicably in a butler's outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Not this one, though.
Mm.
And Nelson's mum coming back in at the end when they've met back up with Nelson's dad, and Nelson's mum bursts in at the end. And I got an acting job in Macbeth. I don't have to take my top off, but I do. I'm a stripper.
Yeah.
I like intercourse.
I think that whole bit was such a shit show or clusterfuck. I'm going to say shit
Both.
show.
cluster shit.
Ooh, that's actually somehow worse. Why not? Such a cluster shit that I think I just stopped paying attention to the actual small
the
things
words
going
actually
on.
going on.
Yeah.
And my final note is Homer doing the say it's fine, Lisa, everything's fine. Hated this, tying into like how they just didn't have any facility or ability to tackle this topic.
Oh, I forgot one that I did like as well. Like Cherry and Terry reading Firstborn Twin magazine
Yeah.
and then Secondborn Twin magazine and had pictures of Patty and Selma on the cover as well.
This month's twins. It is time to rank this thing. Phil, kick it off.
I can give this maybe participant, maybe bronze. I'm trying to figure out where
Where your heart
Would you
lands.
watch it again? There's the line on the participants.
No, but I don't know what it's called, so I might watch it again by accident, but before I realise what it was. Maybe like, oh, I never heard of this one. Wait a minute, I know you. No, let's participant.
All right.
Yeah, put it down there.
How about you, BT?
I am also a participant. It's just, even though I've seen this one before, I'm going to forget most of it. And there are some okay-ish bits and some not okay-ish bits. It generally evens out to a
Yeah, I'm going participant as well. I think the things I liked about this episode I liked more than the last one we watched, but the things that it does wrong are way worse than what the other one did. How about you, Jordan?
I too am going to rate it a Leonard. Sorry, been watching Community lately. Yeah. Pop.
That's a cubic.
Yeah. So, yeah, participant. It's so meh. And I don't need it again in my life.
I don't need it again. I like that. All right. Well, this will be a unanimous participant. It'll be joining other unanimous participants like Crook and Ladder, which we did the other
Oh, yeah.
week,
That
at
was
the
average.
fire thing, and Love Springfieldian Style, which we covered in Vignettes of Vignettes, where everybody's
Oh,
in love
yeah.
and it's boring as fuck. Donny Fatso with John Hamm.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a disappointing one.
Yep.
Lisa with an S when Lisa goes on tour with Lainey Fontaine.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
Wasn't that just swimming in
Yeah.
mediocre? And the Girl Code, which I'm bringing up because last week on the podcast we'll watch the Ricky Gervais episode, which was fucking garbage. And one of the comments that was made was they should have had Stephen Merchant in the episode. That might have saved it. I'd totally forgotten that, yeah, we've watched an episode with Stephen Merchant in it before.
Oh, yeah.
The girl code. Where
But he was not the problem.
No, he wasn't. And he didn't
Ricky
write
Gervais
it.
was the problem in the
He
Ricky
was-
Gervais episode.
He was
so.
such a problem.
Just realized Stephen Merchant in animation only does robots.
GLaDOS as well.
Wheatley, yeah.
Wheatley, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I haven't played enough.
Same game. So you
Half-Life.
got it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. You Crash Bandicoot, that one.
Yeah. 64, right? On the Super Nintendo 64.
Candyland.
And the other thing I forgot to mention in the last podcast you were on, Phil, last episode, you achieved a Simpsons Index milestone.
I did?
Yeah.
Is that why I've been feeling light of feet and happy?
Because in the last episode, you officially have reviewed at least one episode from every season now for this podcast.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, thank you very much. I'd like to thank Elliot and Studio Sideswipe, whatever this is called. And
That is
good
a
name.
side swipe to you.
Good name, though. We might take it.
Ooh, feel that
Whatever
subtle
the stupid
burn.
name is.
whatever. It used to be the Crystal Palace or the Fortress of Solitude. I was down with it. And now I don't know what the fuck it is.
All right, I think that's all the things I needed to remember now. So now the last thing I've got to remember is to take us all the way back to the classic era. We're going to the tail end of the classic era now with Season 9's Bart Star. We'll be back.
I know what playlist this is going to be.
Oh, you know what I know? Duck, 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 duck,
Say
duck,
goose,
duck,
you moron.
duck, 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 duck,
Nope,
duck,
you only got one breath.
And we are back, and we just watched our final and classic episode of the evening, and this was Season 9, Episode 6, Bart Star. First released in November of 97, it was directed by Dominic Pulcino and written by Donick Carey. In this episode, you know this one, it's the one where Bart and all the other school kids have a football team and Flanders is coaching it until Homer hassles Flanders too much that he breaks, and Homer's put in charge of the team, but he's not a very good coach. Oh no, he's all that. Guys, what do you think?
Good stuff.
Really good.
yeah,
Really solid.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I brought this episode to you, being our resident football episode, and for Jordan as well. You're a big fan of this episode, aren't you?
Yeah, you keep saying this. This is like a running joke now. Yeah, apparently this is my favorite episode.
Is this your favorite episode?
No.
For people at home, he's doing sarcastic arms.
Yeah, like, oh, wiggly up.
Methinks you doth protest too much.
I like this episode, but it's not my favorite. It's very good.
Oh, it's a solid, and there's a lot of memorable bits in this one, and lots that I think people have quoted over the years. Let's start around with you, Jordan. For better or worse, what is a moment from this episode that stands out to you?
Can I just say really quickly, we've now got an unintentional playlist, which
Yeah?
is talking over the credits playlist
Oh.
throughout every single one of these.
All of them had it.
And this is my favorite one, actually. This one, not of the three, but I think of all of them.
Yeah.
I think
Because
this
it's your
is
favorite episode.
Yeah. I think maybe that's where it's come from. I think this is my favorite talking over the credits bit
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like they started doing that bit around this time.
because of this.
And yeah, this is absolutely where it peaked.
I know. When was
Yeah.
Lady Bouvier's lover?
Oh, yeah, that was season 5, so yeah, 4 years before.
When
Yeah.
was The Sound of Grandpa?
That's
That-
Lady Bouvier's lover.
Never mind.
And we covered that in a recent episode. Beach was saying that apparently your dad liked to hear Beach sing that.
He loved it. I don't know why that resonated with him so hard.
Neither
think
do I.
I think it's almost the only song crafted in the last 1,000 years that my
Yeah.
dad actually knows.
It's the weird mix of songs Dad likes with parodies of songs Dad
Yeah,
likes.
he likes Simon & Garfunkel. He
Yeah.
loves the Snoopy theme music.
To be fair, it's a quality theme.
The end.
Occasionally the Beach Boys.
That's a weird Spotify playlist.
Anyway,
So, yeah.
sorry, the thing that stood out to me, I think it's just all the little references and gags that I
Yeah.
really liked.
And the callbacks.
Yeah, like I really liked that Homer's wearing Tom Landry's hat
Oh,
from
he
You Only
is.
Move Twice
Yep.
when he's coaching. I think that's a really cool callback
Yep.
because that was only the previous season, wasn't it? I like that. I had to look it up, but when Nelson, he says 5F03 HUT
Yeah.
is the production code for this episode,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, in amongst all the excellent Your Cut jokes in the credits,
Yeah.
I did make sure to look out for the episode code then. And that
It
is
was
the one.
5F03. Just little things like that, like the callbacks to Marge, you've quit every job you've ever done, like cop, pretzel owner, church counselor, professional gambler.
Yeah.
It was just
That was
all the
pretty
little
cool, though.
things, the callbacks and everything, and it felt earned. It wasn't just a, hey, you remember this from an old
Yeah.
cool episode? It was just
Very
subtle little
organically
things.
referencing
Yeah.
itself.
And I
yes.
kind of even think I don't know if it's a callback, but the small King of the Hill moment when
Yeah.
I was playing.
Yeah.
But it, like, was done well enough to go, oh, and then it was gone.
It was
Yeah.
passing, yeah.
Yeah.
We drove 2,000 miles for this.
Yep. One of the guest stars for the episode, Mike Judge. And yeah, they did this for a little bit of crossover promotion for King of the Hill, which was just starting at the time.
Yeah.
And amazingly would go on for another 13 years. Like, the crazy
Wow.
thing with King of the Hill is it finished the year before Bob's Burgers started.
What?
Yeah, I know, right?
That was every year they were on?
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea.
13 years. It's
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a lot. I reckon
that's
I've seen
good.
10 episodes of that ever.
Yeah, it's a show that I feel is a mixed bag.
Yeah.
A lot of it doesn't age well, I find, as well.
Yeah.
I think because it's not an out-and-out, like, comedy
Yeah.
sometimes.
yeah, it was closer
Yeah.
to a drama
Yeah.
family thing.
Yeah.
And I often have issues personally with like marginalized redneck shows, like like when someone's a bogan.
Oh, so you definitely didn't like Housos versus Authority then.
Did anyone?
I've
Fucking
never seen
Housos.
Housos, but I've seen like a 3-second trailer, and I'm like, this is not for me.
Can I just say for the record, Paul Fennick, can you just fuck off? Like, none of your
Yeah.
shows are funny. They're just write the most base level fucking comedy, and I'm very sure you lift off other people too. Paul Fennick, just fuck off. Anyway, sorry, that's a rant. So how about you, Phil? What is a moment from this episode that stands out to you for better or worse?
Like this is a pretty good, solid episode the whole way through. I think like there was a lot of good little chuckly moments. I did love Joe Namath appearing for no reason in the backyard
Yeah.
while Bart's trying to
Yeah.
drastically learn how to be a good QB right at the end, and then gives him absolutely no
Yeah.
advice.
In the great lead up, if there's only one thing you need to know to be a great quarterback.
Yeah, it's like, be Joe Namath.
And yeah, I love the little Bart fantasy, remembering all of
Yeah.
the. Remember the one thing.
I'm Joe Namath.
And Joe Namath, it's paper luck.
Yeah, I thought he did well in this episode as well. And even his little tie-up at the end I thought was really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so there's nothing funny about Fever
Fever
Luck. And just that little bit, I think we all got a laugh out of
Yeah.
when they just hold on him for a little bit too long. He goes from the big smile to just
looking surprised.
He has
I
like
think
a
that-
shocked look like, what do I do now? And then it just
I think
cuts.
that sold that bit, because otherwise
Yeah.
that wouldn't have been funny. It had no gag.
No.
But then just that last, literally 4 frames of him going, ah!
Just the way he's like, it's the third most common cause of all car stalling. Like, it is such like a no stakes problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he did really well. How about you, BT? What is a moment from this episode that stands out to you for better or worse?
I'm going to bring up the joke of from now on I'm going to be kinder to my son and meaner to my dad.
Yeah.
Mostly because it's a great way to go from why Homer would be overly nice to Bart in football instead of just either lazy or apathetic or working him really hard.
Yeah.
I think that works really well. I like how they call back to Grandpa as well in the final episode where he's like, wow, your son's coaching in the grand
Championship
final.
game, yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
that something? He's like, yeah, you'd think so.
He's like, yeah, aren't you proud? He goes, you'd think, but
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like how they keep that. And it's very much in Grandpa's character, and I think it's just maintained throughout the episode. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and it works really well.
Absolutely.
So
And
it's a joke that has a mechanic tied to it as well.
oh, definitely. And it serves that function as well, because I feel like it is a bit of a hard turn from Homer being overbearing, making Bart work.
Yeah, which makes sense that he would be from pushing Flanders so hard. It's like, okay, well, I'm in
Yeah.
charge now, and I'm going to work. I'm tired of seeing you dogging it out there. From now, I'm going to work you like a dog.
Yeah.
fetch me 20 laps.
But yeah, to go to that fantasy sequence of his father being unsupportive of him while he was doing the floor routine, which, by the way, also fucking excellent.
Yeah,
Oh,
very
yeah.
cool. And I do love that tiny little throwback to where it's Smithers who's announcing it. And he's like, and now, bring on the men.
But done
Oh.
incredibly subtly as well.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like he doesn't overly flamboyance his voice.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it
ham
was
it up.
Smithers that was doing
Yeah.
the announcement. That's really good.
And I like the fact that the last thing that Abe says to Homer is, that's what I get for having faith in you. And I
Yeah.
feel like as a kid, that's something that would like really stick
Oh, yeah.
with you as well.
Yeah.
So already he was unsupportive, and you're,
Yeah.
like, you're going to blow it.
Yeah.
But also, just that's what I get for having faith in you. And also, there's a little bit where it's a hint of he could have been something more when, everyone's like, he's dynamite.
Yeah.
Ooh, what's his name again? It's like, he could have been something with a bit of support. It's a little, there's that
Could have
little
been a
hint of it.
contender.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, he was doing fine until Abe yelled.
Yeah,
"You're gonna
exactly.
blow it."
Yeah. But yeah, adding to Homer's rich history, like how he used to be like a really adept choir singer as well.
Yeah.
And like
Hey, my voice dropped.
he had some real fluid and grace back in his youth.
He does
Yeah.
seem like a victim of circumstance. Less,
Yeah.
The nature-nurture thing is a problem
Yeah.
with him.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
And I'm going to say the moment from the story that sticks out to me is the genius joke of the cup. Oh my God.
so good.
I love this joke. The whole routine, it goes on probably a touch too long, but the whole...
I would say just enough.
Yeah, the whole payoff of CUP and Marge's horrified face.
I want to see you. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think that's the right place to stop it. Like, she realizes it just before the
Yeah,
Yeah.
before the
gag
gag
comes.
completes.
I debate within myself whether the guy knew all along what she meant.
Oh, yeah.
And was just
come
like, yeah. I'll play along with this. This is going to be
Gotcha.
great.
The old shoulder pads.
Yeah. I'd say, this guy gets one day a year where his business is just through the roof when all the parents are buying stuff for Pee-wee football.
Yeah.
And this is his gag. This is...
Yep.
He's used to people walking in and being like, hey, buddy, I need something to... You got an extra large cup for me? I need some protection. Yeah, you got it, buddy. And now he's got this little timid woman to be like...
Why is Patrick Warburton buying a cup?
It's a
For
good manly
protection.
voice, that's why.
It
You
is.
got a question, you ask the 8-ball.
Who's Patrick Wahlberg?
He's Putty from Seinfeld.
Oh, this is Putty.
Oh, he's also Kronk from Emperor's New Groove.
And he was Joe in Family Guy, the disabled
Oh,
cop.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he did another Venture Brothers.
Yeah, that's right. Brock Sampson from Venture Brothers.
Yeah.
I do like after that cup bit with like, all right, let's test out the old cup. Millhouse just punting it right at the Millhouse, stop that.
I love like this episode. I'm gonna remember it for like a lot of like super quality jokes that are in it.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of fun with this episode, and we'll talk more about it in a moment. But first, play count. How many times before tonight do you think you've seen this one?
A lot.
I reckon this is probably only my second or third.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a few because it's my favorite episode, Elliot.
Well, duh.
He's got a tattoo on his belly.
A lot. I really like season 8. I know it's a little bit scattershot sometimes.
Season 9.
Oh, this is 9. Fuck. You know what? I'm thinking of You Only Move Twice.
Yeah.
Fuck. Well, this one's okay too. Because it's on the same disc as
Yeah.
the New York episode, and I really like the New York
Yeah.
episode. So
No, me too. This is actually a really killer disc. I accidentally started up Lisa's Sax before as well,
Yeah.
and we almost watched that, and I'm like, oh, maybe we should. Nah, I've got to do the football one. Yeah, I've seen this a lot. I do love season 9, even though it does have its ups and downs. It's rarely gets into participant territory. I was saying that, and I'm like, wait, remember the fucking clip show that you watched the other week?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
So how about the wackiness of this episode? What are some of the cartoony moments that stood out to you?
Oh, there's a ton of whack in
The
this.
whole health fest at the start.
Yeah.
So wacky, like all the time, like
So,
Dr. Nick
I was
at
going
his
to
side.
say, at his little booth of what's your sex? And that's just this smarmy look on his face.
He's just like drumming the table with both hands, just waiting.
And Patty and Selma running the lung test booth as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, yeah.
We also got Hibbert with his, I'm a little worried about your gravy levels.
Yeah.
Now, you doctors have told us to drink 8 glasses of gravy a day. I think you're confused. Oh, confused
Would we? The best
I
part about
love
that is at
that.
the start is the thing that I didn't pick up on is like your cholesterol is fatally high or something.
Yeah.
But what I'm really worried about what?
Is your gravy level?
Yeah.
That's a medical measurement.
There's a great little bit of wackiness where Udo runs up to kick the ball and he's got one shoe off, but then he kicks it with a foot that has the shoe on it.
I was going to ask, was that a joke? Because I don't know football enough.
I don't know in the years that this came out if that would have been a joke, because now like kickers on the team will have their kicking foot will be in a more tight boot that's different, usually completely different color. Maybe it's a real big throwback to like the 20s or something.
I think because maybe shoes were harder and less kind of forgiving, and it could like glance off the side
Yeah,
with
you
a
would
boot.
have less of a sense of direction.
Yeah,
maybe.
so you can kind of get a bit more control with no shoe.
Also, Nelson's helmet, as the only one of any of the teams, he's wearing a helmet from the 1920s.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
really?
like a leather cap, and everyone else has a normal
Yeah.
An
helmet.
old leatherhead.
Well, he doesn't seem to have much trouble palming off all the
Yeah.
No, he
kids
You know what I
and
was going to
stuff.
say? When we were talking about you playing rugby earlier, I'm like, oh, this is Elliot. He's just like charging through to a foot taller than everyone else.
No,
Yeah.
I'd start slowing up the second the opposition team would get near me.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that's the problem, because the thing that beats force is force.
Yeah.
You just have to make that transfer.
No, there was only like 2-3 times that I like actually made a diving tackle. All my other ones would just be sort of run up, go really slow, and
Like
just
try and
put
grab
my,
their jersey.
Are you sure you want to do this? Okay. One thing I did want to ask, Ralph, for starters, is great in this one.
Fantastic.
I'm special.
Yeah.
But later on, when Ned gets the Gatorade dumped on him, he's wearing a cast on his leg. Is there a deleted scene that you know of?
Oh, no, I didn't notice this. Editing Bay Elliot guy, check in with us in the future.
Hey, buddy.
Editing Bay Elliot Jay here to say that unfortunately I couldn't find out why Ralph had a cast in this scene. There's no other deleted scenes for this episode, and there's no mention of it in any commentaries or interviews or anything. But I can confirm now that Joe Namath's limp that we mentioned earlier in the show, that was a bit of intentional animation. Alright, back to the show.
Thanks, buddy.
Another wackiness Jasper, Abe, and who's the third person taking the
it's
hearing
old
test?
Jewish guy.
Old Jewish guy taking the hearing test.
Yeah.
Nothing yet.
And Jasper's like starts to put up his hand, and Grandpa's like, no.
I just I can't figure out if he's going, what are you doing? There's nothing happening. It's like trying to help him, or if they're trying to run a scam.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was more, Jasper going, I think I hear something.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you don't.
Don't.
No, this whole opening bit was, I mean, this is sort of when Simpsons are really going in the whole like sketch show first half of the first act sort of thing.
Yeah, what's all the funny things we can do at a free health fair? Welcome, cheapskates.
But but I really liked all of it, and also McBain doing the fit or fat kids test.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So apparently this was based on when one of the Simpsons producers or writers was hiking, and he just happened to be hiking a couple of meters behind Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was there with his kids,
Oh, wow.
berating them the whole time.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. According to the writer of The Simpsons,
Come on,
anyway.
move faster. More
Yeah.
energy. Up.
Get to the
Down.
chopper.
Get
Ah,
up.
it's always getting to the chopper, never reaching it.
Yeah.
I do like how they got the pincers out to try to figure Millhouse's belly, and he's like, he breathes in, and he's like, we can wait. And Millhouse turns red, and his gut comes out,
Come
and it
to
slaps
Papa.
a fat sticker on it.
Any other wacky moments that stood out to you all?
I like the options from the news for getting fit as children is the military service.
Frenetic dancing.
Dramatic dancing. But then the picture of the
Frenetic dancing.
What's
Frenetic,
frenetic dancing?
Frenetic is like high energy,
Oh,
quick
right.
movements.
But I like that the picture is still the guys from the military service
Yeah.
just dancing.
But one's doing like a kung fu kick. Yeah.
I think
Military.
frenetic dancing's more about the movement and not about the form.
Or good old fashioned pee wee football with the kid who's like got the tooth missing and a black eye and bandages.
Yeah.
And yeah.
A little bit of wackiness. I really like Homer calling up Mr. Burns, like, it's me, Homer Simpson, the son of the big quitter.
Yeah.
Well, I just want you to know I'm a quitter too. And I quit. And just winks into the phone.
Yeah, and then Marge is like, Mr. Burns can't see you wink. He's like, ah!
And also, they've consistently kept Mr. Burns ahoy hoy.
Oh, they did.
Yes,
Yep.
I quite highly appreciate that.
This is kind of wacky. They fire like an actual revolver. like it's not a starter's
Oh,
pistol
shit.
or
You see
anything.
something come out of the barrel.
It's just a real gun. Yeah.
It's Springfield. They do not tone down the violence at all.
Yeah. And the other bit of wacky I wanted to mention was when Nelson was plowing through all the kids, but he like was holding up Bart.
Yeah.
As a shield, yeah.
Well, he does say you're going to be blocking for me on this
Yep.
next
Yeah.
play. And he does.
And I just love how he takes out practically every kid and then is at the touchdown line and then sees one more
Yeah.
further away than the touchline and still doglegs it to the left to take him out anyway.
I didn't.
I've played with guys like that.
I didn't count,
Really?
but like I think he got all 11 people because there's only 11 people out on the field at one time, but I think he got all 11 of them with
Nice.
Bart.
Oh, that's great.
Less wacky, more of a PSA. Skittlebrow. Don't try it.
You've had it
Yeah,
before?
it's not good.
Yeah, it's pretty
As
wacky.
funny as it is, beer with bits of candy floating in it, Skittlebrow.
That is something you made up.
Yeah, maybe it's something you
no,
dreamt.
Yeah, I do like that. That's his answer. He's like, that doesn't exist. I think it's something you dreamt.
Well, just give me a 6-pack of beer and a pack of Skittles.
Yeah.
I just think the Skittles would just go discolored and just could be white
They just
by
get
the
super
time.
hard by the coldness
Yeah.
of the beer, and
Oh,
it becomes
so
chewy
it
and
can be-
awful.
And you don't
Weird.
really want many different artificial fruit flavors in your
No.
beer. I don't
No.
think.
Well, mango beer is pretty good.
Can be pretty good.
Yeah.
If
I
you get
just-
it right.
I haven't tried actual Skittlebrow, so thank you for biting that
Yeah.
bullet for
No,
me, or
don't.
taking that bullet. But I did remember there was that party. Someone put, instead of mezcal with a worm in it, they got cheap, shitty, it was like 4 pistolas or something, and put gummy worms in it.
Yo,
Was it you?
that was me.
And
That was fucking hot. Like, because my idea was to do a play on the whole tequila and a worm.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
the problem
probably.
is I didn't buy good tequila or good gummy worms.
Yep.
And I was like, hey,
Yeah.
let's have a shot. And like, that was awful. Let's have another one.
Yeah.
And then I was violently sick later that night, so I blame you.
For no
fair.
reason other at all. No causation there at all.
That was the night that you lost your luchador mask as well.
Oh.
My luchador mask was stolen.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I still remember and have not forgiven.
yeah,
I got
that's
it
right.
back. I still don't
Yeah,
care.
that's good.
A luchador never forgets.
So I was going to say, there is a bit where Rod sounded like Todd or vice versa, and I was confused. When he's all, Daddy, do we have to play football? I'm like, that is the wrong voice for that character.
Yeah. I did like, though, that when they were standing, Rod had jersey 66 and Todd had 6. So when they were standing together, it was 666.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is so.
Not 06, just 6.
No, it was just 6.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
that feels intentional.
That's really good. So, how about some of the heart of this episode? Did you guys feel bumps?
I mean, it's not really
Yeah.
a bump episode because it's kind of like you get on board with Homer trying to be helpful to Bart, but then he's so aggressively helpful that
Then it
there's
ruins
not a
everything.
lot of intention there.
Kind of when he has the flashback to his dad being a real jerk, because you kind of see his face on the day and it morphs into like back to the current present time.
Yeah.
And he does have this kind of worried look, but then it's kind of overshadowed by his, well, I'll just be really nice to him and hug me and all that kind
I
of thing.
love this sequence.
It's got to be a trick. Run like the wind.
He just throws things like a chair and then like a tiki torch straight in his head.
This is actually going in the Simpsons playlist of Bart and Homer chasing and throwing things at each other.
Yep.
Like when they're trying to build that tree house and like
Yeah.
Bart fills Homer's mouth up with cork.
Yeah. Yeah, God.
Or in the Simpsons movie as well. Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't super going for the heart, but I feel like they had a bit of a heart moment at the end with Bart taking the fall.
And I really love the bit where he's at the Quickie Mart playing video games, specifically Catfight. Slag, the hair, slut, loser.
Skank.
And, Homer makes an attempt at an emotional speech, but doesn't go very well. But he makes it okay with, I've got lots of quarters. This
Yeah.
thing only takes dollars.
Ding, ding, ding.
I really like
Yeah.
how they've got that kind of anti-emotional climax. I think it's great.
I did like, there was a bit of heart actually with, I don't want to play in you stupid people. I quit. And he storms off and is like, we can't quit, you're cut. And then later on, it's like, well, but it looks like it's just, aww. Because he realizes that, he's really fucked it up.
Pours
And-
the Gatorade on himself.
yeah.
But I do feel like they earned the moment at the end with Bart going, don't worry, Dad, I'll step in for Nelson. And then there was that big misdirect as well.
Yeah.
Which,
Crossfade to him in the back of the police car. Yeah. Great stuff.
Which is pretty nice. I do like the gag at the end is like, what is it for? Petty theft, vandalism, nope, arson, and robbery. You're going away for a long time.
Yeah,
Aw.
Jesus. What did he do?
Arson and robbery.
I like that he says petty theft, smoking, as though smoking is going to get him arrested.
Yeah. So yeah, heart wasn't exactly what this episode was going for, but ultimately though, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty on point, I think.
Yeah, Homer's earnestness, I would suppose, and it's not in the usual way, in that, like, where he's, if you know a better way to live through, my boy, than this, then tell
I'd
me.
like to hear it.
Yeah, trying to be supportive, but just fucking it up really badly.
Yeah,
just
his half-assed over-parenting is way
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
than his half-assed under-parenting.
Well, yeah, the thing with Flanders as well is an interesting turn for Flanders' character because he gets pissed.
oh
yeah,
man,
but they build on it. I mean, it's very
Yeah.
quick, but they do build on it.
No, absolutely. And like Homer's like the mule with the spinning wheel. Like doesn't know how he got him, and damned if he knows how to use it, Like he's
Mule.
so able to criticize from the sidelines.
Yeah, and I do love the bit where it was like, looks like you just volunteered. What, me? You were doing such a good job.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, because he doesn't think Flanders will confront him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when he does, and he's right up in
Yeah,
his
has that moment
face,
of, uh-oh.
he is shivering in his boots. He
Yeah.
is
Wildcats.
not at all prepared for this.
And especially Marge like trying to like want him, Homer, it's easy to criticize.
It's fun, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Simpsons Index.
Words don't hurt.
Yeah. That full beer can with
Yeah,
Yeah.
right to the back of the head.
Oh.
Yeah, that would do it. Like, I think that was a great way to push him over the line. It's like, you can ignore this. It's just words, and then it got here.
Yeah,
It was,
I thought that was fantastic. Like, you can sort of see The Simpsons leaning more into sort of sketch-based humor in this episode, but I feel like, it still did have solid story structure around it.
sketch-based when it needed to be. Like,
Yeah.
at the health fair, that's where you, like, pull out all your jokes, but that's to set you up and move you somewhere else.
Yeah, and even Homer's whole cut routine, I feel like, was, a joke that they were just returning to over the
Oh, yeah.
episode, but
Because it was great fun.
it was never bad.
And just even in the background, I was like, oh, you guys are so cut.
Yeah. And when he's making up with Bart at the end, I thought Udo was playing that position. Consider him cut.
Cut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a big hard moment to bring back in the cut joke. Fantastic.
I do like, all right, guys, hit the showers. Not you, Millhouse. You're cut.
Yeah. So, yes or no, would y'all watch it again?
Sure.
Of
Yeah, definitely.
course.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it again. We'll put it in a playlist. What playlist does this belong in?
Sports.
Sports. Mm-hmm.
Homer coaching?
Yeah.
Amazing, like, arcade games in The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Thinking like that, and the
Larry the Ludo.
Yep.
My Dinner with Andre.
Yeah. I was,
Tell me more.
plead insanity.
Yeah.
Death Row, Waterworld.
Tom Landry's hat, because that makes a few other appearances. I think it
Yeah.
does.
Tom Landry's
I think
hat
he
playlist.
actually, Tom Landry has it in an episode. I can't remember which one it is.
Marge be not proud.
And BT, what would you change?
Make his PSA at the end be about Skittlebrow instead of Vaporlock, because that was some misleading stuff. But other than that, I think this is a fantastic episode. I do not think I want to change anything.
How about you, Phil? What would you like to change?
I mean, nothing really. Like, the format was good and the story, focusing only on a story really helps, especially in this. I think that's their strength. I would like to see, it kind of just went nowhere after the gag, Lisa wanted to join the football team, but only as a controversial point. And then when he went, we've already got 4 girls, you're welcome to join. She's like, oh, football's not my thing. With this pigskin, he's like, well, actually, footballs are made of synthetic leather.
And for every ball we buy, $1 goes to Amnesty International.
Yeah, she's like, I would have kind of liked to
go.
I would have liked to see either her then try and participate in the football or at least have a resolution or something else from that, because that seemed like that was kind of setting up maybe a small B story.
I love that as a misdirect, though. Like, that was going to be a B story, and then it's like, actually, no, it's totally fine. We have, because of course Ned would let boys and girls play together.
Yeah, interesting. And I did like the misdirect of they set it up, and then like, of course, why not? I'm like, oh, fuck. But yeah, that'd be literally the only thing I could think of that I would change in this.
Yep.
Although I did just realize a very mild is that Ned gets his kids involved with Pee Wee football to keep them away from rock music and girls, but there are girls on the team.
Oh.
And rock music is often played at football stadiums.
Especially with Nelson doing his showboating, there was some air guitar happening there.
Yep.
And as you know,
the splits.
Yeah. You know, actually, Jordan's anal corner.
Jordan's anal corner.
You're not actually allowed to, like...
Showboat?
Yeah, showboat celebration.
You can't excessively celebrate. You're allowed to celebrate.
No.
Who defines
Not in junior leagues. You're not allowed to.
Really?
Oh,
Really?
wow.
They want to cut that shit early.
Yeah, they don't want to... There was a guy who was playing for a college team, and he did a fake punt and scored a touchdown because he started celebrating before he actually got to the thing they cancelled the...
Really?
You can't celebrate. Like, even here, we've had TDs called back because the running back had celebrated before they got to the end zone.
Why do people give a shit?
Well, because they just don't want to...
Name of sportsmanship. Like, you can celebrate...
Yeah,
you can celebrate a thing done. You can't celebrate before you've even finished, like, because it's counted as taunting.
Yeah.
Like,
you can't... You got to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah, and when you celebrate, you can't, like, point out the other team. You guys suck balls.
I don't think you can spike the ball either. I don't think you're allowed to do what he was
Yeah,
doing.
you can't do that, but that's just because someone has to go and get it.
Yeah.
Like, I think the best argument for it is in the opening minutes of basketball, where they show, the lengths that football has gone to these days, and like, the people like doing a river dance on the touchline.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Well, that's the Family Guy with the shaboopy.
The girl who's hard to get.
Shaboopy, shaboopy, shaboopy.
You can win her yet.
Oh, back when I liked the Family Guy.
Can I just point out a couple of other anal corners while we're in
Yes!
while we're in the corner? There's a scene like in the
It slowly gets more and more distorted. That's kind of the thing we go with.
in the first round of cutting, he cuts Martin. Because Martin is still in the team later on in some of the scenes.
Maybe he forgot his name.
Also, when Bart is thinking about what Joe Namath said, he has a vision of Joe Namath's wife going, it was just vapor lock. But he was in the backyard and there was no way he could see the street where the car was.
But maybe that was his imagination. Because Joe Namath's head wasn't floating around his head in 4 different instances.
Bart's probably a big enough fan of Joe Namath that, he has.
He knows what his wife looks like. And what kind of car he drives. And exactly what vapor lock is.
Okay. Yeah. That's what my anecdote is. What I would change, the flashback is a little long. It's not too bad, though. So, I mean, I'm really nitpicking here. I'm kind of okay with it all.
Yeah, I got to say, as far as changes go, it'd just be sort of tightening up the screws, sort of just rebalancing some areas of time. But honestly, there's not any immediate problems that I can point out to y'all at the moment. It's just a couple of bits here and there, but otherwise it's lots of fun, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's mostly because it's a 20-year-old cartoon.
Yeah.
And things were a bit slower back then.
BT, do you have any other notes?
Yeah, couple. Well done, son. You panicked, but you didn't lose your cool. I love that line. And also when he's like, Bart calls me coach just like the rest of you. Coach, yes, sweetie? Just immediately undermining himself. Just a beautiful moment.
Yeah. How about you, Phil? Any other notes?
I've got a couple. I like that their first game was the Wildcats versus the Wildcats.
Yep.
Who are we? The Wildcats. Who are we going to beat?
The Wildcats. I love, okay, let's see your game faces.
There was a smile like a Flanders.
This reminds me of the good South Park bit where they're watching Canadian football and it's the Rough Riders versing the Rough Riders. These Rough Riders are really giving these Rough Riders a rough time.
A rough ride.
Rough ride.
I like their second game was they won 40-0 against Victory City.
Oh, I didn't know any of the other team names.
Yeah, that was the only. Everything else was.
That was
It was like
Arlington
Capital City and...
Okay.
Yeah, there's Capital City, but I liked Victory City. It's like didn't even score a point.
Yep.
I like the callback to hug me when Homer's driving in the car, and he's like, now hug me, and he leans over to hug Bart. He's like, Dad, the car, and it goes back, and Lisa's like leaning over,
Very nonchalant.
and just like, I've got it.
Yeah, like, this has happened a million
is a big
times
thing.
before. Yeah.
Yeah. She's just following standard protocol now.
There was a great line from Nelson, and I can't remember what the setup line was, but it was something about the letter B. And
Because he says like,
yeah.
let's
Let's
all,
hear it for Bart.
yeah,
Oh, that's
give me a
right.
B.
Yeah.
and then he's like, if you don't win the next game, I'm going to tear you a new A. I was
Wow.
like, that's pretty harsh for.
Again,
yeah.
they get away with
Cartoons.
it though because the setup's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it makes sense. But I was like, ooh, asshole. Okay.
Yeah.
Marge's conversation point at dinner was, I've never had a tick berry so deep before.
Yeah.
Little guy's just got a mind of his own.
Like, that's such an awkward thing
Oh,
to
I'm
come
trying
into.
to eat.
Yeah.
I love that Homer's idea for a last play, he just turns on the electric football machine and he's
Oh.
like, okay,
I
you
love
guys
it.
shuffle that way, and Nelson, you just spin around in circles.
Two of you fall over.
While you're vibrating. Yeah. Oh, it's genius. Genius level stupid joke.
Yeah, and it was good. And I liked that hadn't come up before, so they could use it for
Yeah.
the last big play
Yeah.
when they're at the tied game.
Jordan, do you have any other notes?
Yes. Homer says, Flanders is the worst coach we've ever had. And Marge says, he's the only coach we've ever had.
Yeah.
So technically, he is the worst.
Correct.
Ah.
Technically.
But Homer does counter by going, yeah, but look at the way he wears that stupid hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't have Tom Landry's hat.
I do like Flanders' reply of when he's like, Flanders, what? What is it?
Game's
Game's
out there.
Fix that
Vigilante. Yeah. I feel that Bart could have got away with saying that was a spike, not a fumble, but, that's fine.
No, he's out of the pocket. Oh, no, you have to be out of the pocket.
Yeah,
No.
but it's just an incomplete pass, right?
No, it's got to be a forward motion, overhand, and
Then they just throw it straight down?
if they're
I have
inside the pocket.
Oh, okay.
But if they're outside the tackle, no, you can't down the ball.
That's a shame. You should have just thrown it over the sideline then.
Or certainly not running to the end zone like a doofus.
Yeah. Well, actually, he did throw it over the sideline to Nelson and then fucked it all up. The Ralph line when Nelson throws Bart into the mud and slides, and Ralph is like, "You're going to heaven."
You're going to heaven.
It's so disturbing.
I like to
James L. Ralph.
Knowing the name doesn't make it any better.
Millhouse's like magic underwear.
Oh,
He
yeah.
like pulls it out and it's intact. He full Owen Wilson's it.
Yeah.
Underwear outside the pants playlist.
Yeah.
Because it's clearly not ripped either.
Yeah, it's still intact. I'm like, how did he do that? That's amazing.
Something about Springfield. Very few Springfieldians know how to do this. There's Grandpa and there's
I
Millhouse.
think people in Springfield tend to have problems with underwear in general.
It's true.
And lastly, I liked Marge doing the first aid presentation.
Yeah.
And then Lisa coming in, Mom, I got stuck in a bear trap. Looks like you need some first aid. And then they're like all just clapping for that. Like she didn't do anything yet. But then
Yeah.
also the fact like, we're talking about first aid. This is about serious injuries. And
Not some
everyone's just
charity
like,
rock
Oh,
cuts.
yeah. That's
Yeah. And serious injuries. That's gold.
Yeah, that was very
good.
weird.
Yeah.
I did have one to know, but I'm not sure if I saw it right. At the very start, when they're showing inside of the health fair,
Mm.
and I swear there was just a stall that just said bottles versus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it did.
Does it say bottles us? Bottles versus? What is it versing? Is it every? I don't
Cans,
know.
obviously.
Maybe it's
Well, it looks like baby bottles.
is
Maybe.
S a Roman numeral? Maybe it's
No.
590.
No.
5703 hut? Yes.
Hike?
Hut.
Pockets?
Time for my final notes. Why did I write the note, give me balls and dollars? Give me balls and money?
It was that for every ball we buy, a dollar goes to Amnesty International?
No, that's a different note.
Balls and
Who
dollars, you
says give me
say.
balls?
What was the line again?
Hat balls.
Give
and
me
do-
ball and dollars.
Maybe you dreamt it.
Look, I'm going
Is
to...
it like Nelson? Just like, give me the ball. Oh,
And
and your
your
lunch
lunch
money.
money.
Yay.
Nice one. We got there.
Yeah.
Well played, Jordan.
Pretty different
I mean,
from balls
Johnny.
and dollars, but sure.
Yeah. I like when Homer set up the obstacle course on the stairs that
Yep.
Bart, when he enters the scene, just slides down the banister.
Yeah.
And I like how Lisa falls down the stairs and he's like, you'll never get in the team like this. She goes, I don't want to be in this stupid team. He's like, well, why are
Yeah.
you doing the obstacle course?
Yeah. Oh, that was sensational. And that's all my notes. We're pretty thorough with this one, so it must mean it's time to rank this thing. Jordan, would you like to kick off the rankings?
Sure, I would. I think this is a pretty solid gold. It's really good, and I really like it. Is it essential? No, not to me. But it's super good, excellent indeed. So, yeah, I'm really happy giving it a gold.
All right, Phil.
I'd have to agree. as a solid gold. I think that's a really good point. Like, it's a really good episode. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not essential. If you had your top 10 ever Simpsons, I don't think it appears in anyone's top 10. But yeah, it's a great episode. Yeah, definitely solid gold. I'm happy with that.
BT?
I am also on a gold. It's really, really good. It's just not quite... The ones we give the cubic, usually ones you watch, you're like, I can't even believe how good this is.
Yeah.
And I can believe how good this is. It's very good.
I can believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very easy gold for me. I'm probably actually more on the silver side of gold, though, I will
You could
just
argue
say.
that, yeah.
But I do have a good time with this episode, and I'd actually say that I feel like the weakest part of this episode is probably its story, but also I don't have a problem with it so much. I'm just like acknowledging from a technical perspective that it is a bit all over the place, but only a bit. Like, this is still super solid work. I really enjoyed this one, and that will be a unanimous gold. Last week we reviewed A Fish Called Selma with the guys from Pods in the Key of
Nice.
Springfield. That also got a unanimous gold.
Really? Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
I think we all loved it as an episode. It was
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, wasn't that brilliant levels.
yeah, it wasn't essential, but, you know, it was an excellent Troy McClure showcase.
Yeah.
It'll also be Joining Bart's Girlfriend, where we meet
Yep.
Jessica Lovejoy.
Yep.
Bart on the Road, where they go to the Wad Fur.
Nice.
Burns Baby Burns, which we reviewed the other week, talked about in this episode as well, Rodney Dangerfield one. And also Deep Space Homer, which we reviewed with you in
Hurrah!
first episode, I think you were on, Phil.
Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah.
Maybe it was too hard on Deep Space Homer.
No, I think it's the same thing, where it's these episodes that are filled with iconic moments, but as in a package, you don't really come away with it thinking this is an essential episode of
Yeah.
The Simpsons.
You
Yeah,
can,
that's
you
very
can
true.
believe how good it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, going back on some of these, especially like we mentioned Homer at Bat. You watch that, it's like, this is ridiculous how good this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just the amount of jokes are in like the first 30 seconds.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that it does the job of introducing 9 sports stars who, me and B, we had no fucking idea who
We
they
still had
were.
a great time, yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. So it's about time we get out of here. But before we do, we want to tell you about some things we've been checking out, things we like. Podcasts, movies, music, all that crap. Beach, what are you getting into?
So I've mentioned before the Sans Pants Radio podcast, who they have a series called D&D is for Nerds. Some are a bit hit and miss, but one called Jaren's Outpost Hustle is fantastic. I'm going to highly recommend it. It's a weird mix. It becomes kind of like this Godfather meets Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels meets ridiculous fantasy nonsense. It's great. Check it out.
All right. How about you, Phil?
Well, I'm late to the train, but I'm finally watching Better Call Saul, which I'm in love with. I've smashed through season 1 in 3 days. Yes, that's really good. And I'm listening to a podcast at the moment called Where Do We Begin, which is a one-off. You sit in with a couples counselor and people talk about their relationship problems. But it's very, very interesting in subtext and what people say and what people
Oh.
mean. And you get to actually hear the therapist going, oh, well, you're saying this, but what you are actually saying is this. And then the person who said it goes, oh, fuck yeah. And then the person they've been saying it to is like, what? and
Yeah.
then you're like, wow, everyone's been talking all the time and no one has any idea what the fuck they're saying.
Oh,
So
that's
it's
crazy.
quite interesting in that respect.
What's that one called again?
Where do we begin?
Where do we begin?
Or maybe where do we start? But I think where do we begin?
Where should we begin?
How about you, Jordan? What are you getting into?
Octopath Traveler for the Switch has been out for a while, but I'm slowly making my way through it because I'm a sucker for like a JRPG.
Does the J stand for Japanese?
Or
does.
Jordan.
Okay.
No, it's the
Yeah.
Jordan RPG.
A
It's
Jordan-
my life,
it's a-
and
yeah.
I play it every day.
He plays Jordan F. Two Butts.
Yeah. Two butts with a Z is my screen name.
Of course. You got to mix it up.
And there's a new expansion for WoW that just came out. So
Oh,
I
the
got
Battle of Bridges
Battle-
of Azeroth.
Battle for Azeroth, yeah.
Yes.
Horde and Alliance, after being kind of friendly and neutral and kind of having a truce for the last expansion.
Yeah.
Now they're back to being dicks and hating each other.
Oh.
And it's all one
The way it
person's
should be.
fault. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of sucked me back into. I'm playing a little bit of that.
Yeah,
Sure.
speaking of Blizzard Entertainment, I've just been on a big Overwatch kick lately.
Nice.
I'm loving all the new characters. Moira is my jam. Oh, she
Yeah,
is
she's
so
pretty cool.
good.
Yeah, and it's cool to have like an evil healer
Mm.
kind of character. Very interesting.
So yeah, love Overwatch, and I'm going to recommend, of course, is Pods in the Key of Springfield. They were on our podcast last week, and if you haven't heard yet, we did a review of the first 2 episodes of Disenchantment on their podcast, and we had a great time doing that, although I will say my opinions on Disenchantment may have changed a bit. It's just not a show that I've found particularly gripping since then.
Spoiler
Now
alert.
you've spoiled what you've said in the previous episode now.
I say a bunch of other stuff in
Yeah.
that episode
He
that's
also
worth
says some
hearing.
good things. Or does he? Find out.
Find
or
out
will
then.
you? Yes.
I remain consistent.
How much are you getting paid by the pods committee?
Ethics in journalism. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me in SideQuest Studios tonight. Let's get out of here. BT, your cut.
Finally!
Phil, your cut.
Oh.
Jordan, your cut.
Oh, I quit.
You can't quit because I'm cutting myself.
Damn it.
That's all the mustard in the house.
The mustard is cut.
You're cut too mushy.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at simpsonsindex on Twitter. And now, please stay tuned for the bonus scenes.
Anyway, how about you, Jordan? What's a moment from this? That's not the question. How about you, Jordan? Do you have what do you want to change? Jesus Christ.
Why did
Your
I even
pets.
frame that?
I know, I keep
It's-
reading the wrong
This is
section.
the first episode, Elliot. You gotta get it together because we've got 2 more after this.
Jordan, talk?
No.
Jordan talking about.
Welcome back
Jordan
to Jordan
Talk.
Talk, where we're talking to people called Jordan. Tonight, our guest, Jordan.
Just like all the other guys.
Yes, you are.
And that concludes Jordan's talk.
Join us next week. We'll talk to Jordan. After that, we're out of Jordans. Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
Has still
I
not
mean-
returned our calls.
I don't want to slag our current Jordan, but that's quite a big change in guests.
That's quite a shift in Jordans.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the country Jordan.
The entire country. Sure, why not?
It's a very slow
I was
conversation.
imagining like a...
Hello.
How are you all doing today collectively? Everyone
Yes.
votes.
I was imagining country Jordan as in like, well, slap
Yeah,
sideways.
it's just you with a banjo.
But for the best of the very best, you give cubic zirconia.
Why is there no Ralph Wiggum spin-off show? Because I would watch the hell out of that.
I think he's gonna only ever work as a secondary character. You can't weigh too much on him.
No, there is an episode
If they
in
can
like...
make a movie from Air Bud, they
Have
can.
you seen
They
Air Bud?
should.
It's incredible.
No, I haven't seen
What
it.
about its 19 sequels?
I don't know about them.
As they slowly go through
I didn't
every sport
realize
in the
that
world.
all of the like Snow Buddies and all of those are like sequels of the Air Bud
Oh,
franchise.
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
It's the Airbud cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, what you should do for your next, like your 100 episode, is introduce like a sound effect for when you rank things that are all everyone agrees, and it's like,
Yeah.
"Ah." And then QZ can be like, "Ee."
What if they're not unanimous?
Then
Bum,
no
bum.
dice. Also for for failure, you can use the brown note.
Well, usually we use the index finger.
Yeah, I listen to these while driving to work. I don't want to hear a brown note.